I got, we had them.
There's some in the.
We already put one at everybody's name.
I didn't see.
That's what we ordered for our. Now. Did I X off the wrong thing? No, it says it's being live streamed. It's this one. It's. You don't have the right one. You don't have the one where the executive session here.
I don't know who stuff this is.
Except if this guy's here, we're gonna put him.
Hey, that's been good right there. That'd have been good.
There's Steve and there's Diane.
I didn't know.
Sorry.
I ran home. Oh, I thought you could drive by.
Yes.
Mine.
I understand.
Oh, that bad? We're good.
I thought they fixed it.
One of those.
Wanted to stop them, put the
I
things
know,
up on
but then I thought they fixed it.
How are you?
No, that delayed us a few hours. Thanks to you folks.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
Look, JD
Oh,
said, she's on city council, she ought to know. And I said,
oh, yeah. I was, last, early last week.
Yeah. I told
How are
him.
you, sir? I had it
We're
again.
still fine. He said he was coming. He talked to Bill. May talk to Bill.
yes, I'm sure.
Try to
I
find
mean, I
it.
already got
There's
it.
probably Bill in there.
I brought you some.
I was down for the
I
count,
sent you
man.
a text the other day. I read it.
Yeah,
I printed it out, but the printer, I checked my ink. My ink's good. So it's just the way it came out. I appreciate you. Yeah, I read it. I read the other. My wife showed them out. Yeah. Mike Fox, thanks, thanks. Hey,
You got your timer ready. You got the timer ready. Oh, yeah.
Really? Where do you live at? I think it's Bernardo. I think Bernardo.
I don't even know what printer I use.
I couldn't see her.
We live right down the street. It was only.
Hey, how you doing, Sam?
Are you all? Had he been sick?
Mr. Kyle.
So he had to-
how are you? How are you? How are you doing? How are you?
Bernardo.
I'm sitting on the pillow.
You ever seen this little book? It was put out around 1907. I have the original. Extremely hard to find, extremely rare book, and I had to reprint it so we can get lost. And it shows you who killed around 1906, some of the churches and the streets and all that. It was a little book put out over 100 years ago, but you may want. Yeah, so the covers is
I
exactly.
said, I'm sick.
Now you're talking.
But I wrote kind of the forward to it inside
Here, just do a seating chart for me and name everybody what I know who they are.
Yeah.
They can do this.
I need the signage.
Come in here. I mean, I remember that lady came in here. I don't say.
Oh, that is? Thank you, thank you.
Well, the attorney here.
Mhm.
Where are we?
Mhm. Call this meeting to order, the Oak Hill City Council for September 12th, 2022, 5:30. The clerk will call the roll.
Mayor Daniel Wright,
Here.
Tom Oxley, Diane Janey,
Here.
David Perry,
Present.
Krista Hodges,
Here.
Steve Hazlett,
Here.
Charles Smallwood,
Here.
Benitez Jackson.
Here.
Tonight's invocation will be offered by the Reverend Dr. Kenneth Krimmel, pastor of the Oak Hill United Methodist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Council Member Steve Hazlett.
Let us pray. Almighty, all-powerful, all-loving God, we pause to acknowledge your presence here in this room. We know that you are everywhere. We thank you, God, for this great city of Oak Hill, West Virginia. I pray your blessings upon our Mayor, Danny Wright, and upon all of our council members and all who work for this city. And of course, all who call Oak Hill home. We pray that you would watch over us and give us guidance and direction and always keep us faithful to the work that you would have us do. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a presentation from the West Virginia American Water Company from Brian Janey, Senior Supervisor of Operations, and who's going to accept it on behalf of the city?
Chris Gill.
Chris Gill. All right, Mr. Gill. Mr. Janey. Hello.
Please.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Janey, Senior Supervisor of Operations for Oak Hill Distribution here. We do Oak Hill, Fayetteville, and surrounding areas. I've been in this position right at 1 year. So took over from Marshall Murray, who retired. He was my previous supervisor and mentor. We have a check here to present to the fire department for $1,000 for equipment, whatever that they need. And I look forward to working with everybody, as far as helping the relationship, working closely that we have with, the city department and municipality, everything. And Mountaineer Gas, like I said, Oak Hill Fire Department, we appreciate being part of the team and the community. And we've spent a good bit of money this year in the city of Oak Hill, as far as with the tank painting, 30-year maintenance. It's actually 25-year, but COVID put stuff off, everything, but it is all renewed and good to go. Sanitized, clean. We also put an Aquarius system on most of the stuff in Oak Hill, at least on the metal lines. That's it's listening devices, and it gives us a detection for leaks so that we can get to them early. As far as that non-revenue water, we don't want to waste the water that we treat. So this is a good area we thought to start with. It's close to home, and it's got the metal mains and stuff in this area, and it'll be good money spent on capital investment to so that we can fix the leaks quickly and get to them. So that's about all I got to say. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Janey. The city's is most appreciative. Yes, sir.
Mayor, could we get a picture with Chris and the gentleman
Yeah.
presenting him with the
Yeah, be
large
good.
check?
Be good. Thank you.
Hello.
Mayor? Not working. May I make a comment? or
Yes,
two,
sir.
please?
Yes.
The fire chief called me this evening. He wanted everyone to know that he and the assistant chief and Mr. Kanye would have been here. However, they're all under the weather. Also, he recognized Mr. Kanye for having written the grant, and Chris, well, obviously was here to accept it. So again, I think we appreciate their work. Also would like to note and thank Demita and West Virginia American Water and Day Day. In 25 years, it's been forthcoming. But now through the cooperation of West Virginia Water, we know we're in Oak Hill, West Virginia, high and above. So I think that's some indication of progress. So carry that back to Paige, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Now moves us into the reading and approval of the minutes. Is there a motion regarding the reading and approval of minutes?
Move we approve the minutes as having been presented.
I'll second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion's agreed to, 6-0. The treasurer's report, is there a motion regarding it?
Move we accept the treasurer's report as having been presented.
Is
I'll
there
second.
been properly moved and seconded? We accept the treasurer's report as having been presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion's agreed to, 6-0. Any correspondence for the city? There is none. All right, thank you. Citizen comments, Kat Merritt.
Hello, I'm here on behalf of Sandy Smith and the Oak Leaf Committee, and Sandy sent a little note that she wanted me to read. It says, if any of you attended the 23rd Annual Oak Leaf Festival, I hope you were there for some or all of it. You know it was a huge success. Our Thursday evening meet and greet with Oak Hill Middle School was attended well. On Friday evening, we had over 50 side-by-sides and almost 30 Jeeps. This event grows every year. Our sweet taste and photography contests were also well attended, as was the chili contest, even though we had rain. We were able to get some sponsors for the inflatables so that the kids could play in them for free all weekend long. Saturday was full of good things. We had close to 90 vendors on Saturday. The bands were exceptionally good this year. If you missed the Journey Tribute Band, you missed a phenomenal band. Our parade was another huge success. First, I would like to thank the Oak Leaf Committee. We had an awesome group this year, and it shows. I would also like to thank the city of Oak Hill for your support. The street department was outstanding. A little personal thank you to Charlie Pennell. We had the support of the police department. Thank you, Chief Wiseman, and the fire department. Thank you, Chief Richardson. And a huge thank you to Sherry Kaufman and Thelma Walker. There was also a thank you extended to Monty Price for all of his efforts in our festival. And it says, let's see, where am I? I hope I haven't left anyone out for the thank yous. But if I missed your name, please know that I'd appreciate everything you did. I'm looking forward to next year, making it even bigger and better. We appreciate your support for next year. Thank you, Sandy Smith.
Mayor, point of personal privilege.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to request through unanimous consent that the ladies' report be attached to the minutes and that a letter from the mayor and the city manager be sent to Sandy complimenting her and the committee on what they put together. But also note that Sandy came all the way back from Birmingham, Alabama, just to be here for this event, to see that it was successful. So
Without objection. So ordered.
if she'll provide you with a copy. Thank you.
You can just drop it off at City Hall when you do get it. Thank you.
Make it easy on Valerie. All you gotta do is attach it. You don't have to.
All right. Okay. Kevin, do take care of it. All right. There you go. So John Garvin.
Only reason I'm making a presentation today is concerning the deterioration on the outside of the bank building that you're intending to buy. And I was told that nothing could be done. But then, you know, I'm getting old and I don't have much clocks on me and the clocks on no one else. What's the intention? It's neither here nor there. But for the sake of just being out in the public domain, if you go to the municipal code, Title 11, Chapter 16, Sections 10, 20, and 30, vacant rental or commercial property. Responsibilities of property owner. The owner of any rental property or commercial property located within the municipal limits of the city, which becomes vacant, shall be responsible for the following. A, keeping the parking area free of litter and debris. B, keeping the parking area properly lighted so that all areas which were lighted when the building was occupied continue to be lighted. C, keeping the building from becoming an eyesore by not allowing deterioration of the structure. If anyone goes down and looks at the left side of the building, there's evident deterioration. Now let's go to Title 11, Chapter 16, Section 20, violations of conditions. Notice, the city manager shall notify the owner of a breach of any of the foregoing conditions, and the owner shall be given 30 days from the date of the notification to correct the violation. Should the violation not be corrected within the 30 days, and the city manager is not given the extension of time to correct the violation, the city manager shall cause criminal charges to be filed. Now we go to Title 11, Chapter 16, Section 30, penalty. After the time has expired for correction of a violation of this chapter, and the owner has failed to make the corrections, the owner may be charged with the violation. Upon conviction thereof shall be fined not more than $500 for such violation. Each day that the condition remains shall constitute a separate offense. So I'm thinking, why should the city be extorted? The city is in a position of power that dictates the terms, that tells the tenants what to do. The owner should not be rewarded for bad behavior. We have many educators in this body tonight, and you know that rewarding bad behavior really doesn't work. In my mind, the present tenants have had a lack of good faith. They've just been mere speculators instead of being concerned of development. At the very least, the outside, the exterior could be a centerpiece, a showplace, a gym, but the present owners should be the ones that do that for the city.
Hey, get the fuck out of the way.
That was out of the blue. So that's what I'm saying.
Sorry, guys. Hit the wrong button.
At the very least, if we acquire the building, I think that the people we're going to buy it from should at least make exterior presentable in good faith. So that's all I had to say. I was told that we couldn't compel the owners to do that, but obviously through this municipal code, we can compel them to do that. I want to know where you got that clock. I need one for the house.
Thank you, Mr. Garvin.
Thank you.
Daryl Rakes. How are you?
Great.
Hey, my name's Daryl Rakes. I live out in Hidden Valley. Y'all know that place, that dump out there on the east end of town. Nobody wants to take care of it. Nobody wants to manage or whatever. That's where I live at. Anyway, we've been about 20 some years out there trying to get a family under control, either that or leave, one or the other. Well, we've had dealt with rats. Now we're dealing with flies because let's just lay out, say it. That house 504 is full of shit, literally, dog shit. And the damn place is sitting there out the doors. There's rats running everywhere. There's whatever else is in there. Needles. Let me go with needles all over the floor. What else? Anyway, we've called 911. I don't know how many times. We've called the other number. I don't know how many times. And I'm not saying the law enforcement officers that come out there, they come out there. I'm not blaming them at all. It's who's in control of these law enforcement officers. It's not telling them, don't go out there, don't bother, don't go in the house, don't do this, don't do that. Well, you know, that really don't get nothing done. So them people that are living out there, at least they are now, they think that, well, they're not gonna bother us, what we'll do is we please. So we got dog shit in the yards, you know, and then we got another one. Let's just not stop at that house at the top of the hill. Apparently, because the guy's black, okay, y'all are afraid to say anything to the people because that guy's grass is that tall. That's the first house you come to when you go into Hidden Valley. I've been under construction. That's why I ain't been able to do it. That house has been under construction for what, 10 years? Somewhere close to that? This house is still under construction. I've never seen nothing like that. So how in the hell is that legal? Let me go on. Is there no codes here for the trash in this city? Anywhere? There's no codes for that. Is there any kind of building codes? Is there any kind of thing to say you got to, if you're a business, you got to wash your business down and take care of what's out in front of your house? Is there? Can somebody tell me?
I'll look it up and find out for you.
Y'all don't know? I mean,
don't know
nobody
for a
here.
fact.
You lost me at black when you said something about white being black.
Yeah.
I might answer shit for you.
What's that now?
I'm not going to answer shit for you. That's number one, because.
Mayor, point of order.
I wasn't making a
Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Because
point
I
of
feel
order.
that's the way they-
I'll state my point of order when you recognize me.
Go ahead, Mr.
People
Perry.
here feel that way.
Mr. Rakes,
Mr. Rakes.
a point of order has been called for. Number one, in terms of public comments that are recognized for public comments, the council is not recognized to respond or answer at that time in terms of protocol. And at a later date, Mr. Rakes, within this meeting, I think each of the members who want to respond will respond. I also would say that we appreciate you coming, but the tenor and language is totally unacceptable.
But that's what's happened.
I
If this
understand,
was your house,
Mayor,
I'm
Yes, sir.
done. I see what's going on here. You don't want to do a damn thing. That's why the damn place is out there like that now.
Marsha Rakes. Are you marching 3 minutes? Okay.
I'm Marcia Rakes. About this house that we're talking about on 504 24th Street, the people that's in this house doesn't own this house. They're more or less squatters. The original owner, one had already passed away years ago, but the second owner of the house died back in February. And we've been trying to get USDA to foreclose on this house, which they said they had a mortuarium, you know, for moratorium for renters, homeowners, whatever during the COVID. Well, that's been lifted. And we've been trying to get them to foreclose on it. You know, I don't know what they're doing with that, but we were told that they have, the squatters that are in there have a lease that was signed with the dead owner, which is crazy. I mean, you know, the owner's dead. USDA is not going to let them sign a lease unless they refinance this house. None of it's been done. This woman's homeless. She don't have anywhere to go. And in the process, she brings a bunch of other homeless people in with her, and they're all, I'm gonna say it, druggies is what they are. And it's all hours of night. We've had to beef up security on it. We've had it, first of all, it depreciates our home values out there. By the way, they don't cut their grass. They don't pick up anything out there. Garbage piled up. Had a called pesticide out there because of the rats, the flies, roaches, and people going up down the street all hours of night. We've had to put in security cameras. Not me, but there's been several neighbors that had to put in security cameras because of the people coming up down the street, stealing bikes, going through your garbage. They go through your personal garbage, you know, to see what they could find and sell. It's stuff like that. Can't get them out of there. Can't get nothing done. And why should we, being homeowners and living out there, have to deal with that all the time? Isn't there anything that can be done? Health well check going in there. You know, she's got 3 dogs she keeps in the house. She was letting them out on a leash to use the bathroom occasionally. Now they're in there nonstop. They've been in there for 4 weeks nonstop now. The house is, it's unlivable, and can't get these people out of there. So why should we, being homeowners out there, have to live like that with these people that don't even own the home? They're not renting a home. If she's got a lease, I'd like to see the lease to see who she's paying the money to, because she's not paying it to USDA. Isn't there anything you could do about that? Squatters, whatever, to get them out of there.
Chief, Mr. Wisman, do you have any comments regarding these squatters? Okay, Mr. Fowle.
Well, I spoke with Chief Wisman this afternoon, and there are some steps that are now being taken. The intent is to have somebody appointed as the administrator of the estate of the individual or individuals who own that property. Once that is done, then they can oversee the property. They can determine who is in the property, whether they're there legally or not, whether rent is being paid, whether there's a lease. So these steps, based on the conversation I had with Chief Wisman.
The administrators of the family?
Of the estate, of the person, the last person that passed away, if that is the person who owned the property.
He was the last person.
Okay, then apparently there's been no administration of the estate of that gentleman. And so what will have to happen now, someone will need to be appointed, which I understand is being done, to become the administrator of the estate. Once that is done, that individual will have some authority over that property and will be able to determine if the individual living there or individuals are there legally, whether there is a lease, where the payments are being made. The questions you've raised, I think, can be addressed. And that individual will have some rights to remove someone there if they are not there under a bona fide lease and if they're not complying with the law. So there will be somebody, and I think that is going to occur fairly quickly. I just became aware of it today.
Michael Haggerty, the owner, had died back in February, and we've been trying since then to get something done. And we keep telling that she had a legal binding lease and all this and that.
Well, I believe the city of Oak Hill will be able to determine that. Whoever the person that is appointed as the administrator of the estate will have some legal rights over that property, over the individuals there. So that is going to be taken up very quickly.
Okay. And don't you cite these people that don't cut their grass when it gets to 11, 12 inches high? Well, her grass is that way, so you need to go ahead and send a letter out and get it cut. Because I have grandkids that live next door, and it produces a lot of mosquitoes and bugs out there for them, you know? So Yeah, something definitely needs to be done because it's getting really, really bad out there. And with the riffraff coming up down the street, and it's just what it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Thank you, Mrs. Riggs. Yes. Already? Oh, already. Okay. For the grass already? Debbie Taggart? Okay. All right.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
I-
Yes, we can hear you. Can you go ahead and give your report on the
yes,
Rimfire
ma'am.
Trail?
Yes, ma'am. This is the first time I've ever done Zoom on the phone, so I'm not real good. I'm in the car driving. But anyway, basically the trails have been mapped. What they're waiting on are some landowner signatures. A lot of the property has new Forest Land Group has are changing some of their structuring, so they're waiting until they get that done before they'll sign the use contracts, leases, whatever words you want to use. But the projection is still to have the trail done in 2023, 2024. Like I say, that's all they're waiting on now is some landowner signatures. And until Forest Land Group gets their stuff done, they can't get their signatures.
Okay, does
But
council?
like I say, the proposed trail, their mapping has been done already on the proposed trail. And as long as all the landowners enter landowner agreements with the trails, with the Rimfire Trail system, it'll be done as proposed.
I have a question.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Is there a location on the trailhead?
Not 100%. It should start. The intention is to start the trailhead there right around Lock Galley, around the that particular area. That's and they have some alternatives. I don't know where all the alternatives are.
Okay.
But that's a preferred location.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, guys, I'm sorry for the outburst. I was behind somebody that couldn't drive and I didn't know y'all could hear me. I thought I was on mute.
We accept.
Till somebody said, wow, I didn't know anybody could hear me.
Is that the complete report now?
Yes, sir.
I have one
Yes, sir.
question.
Thank you.
I have one
Yes, sir.
question, Rick, Mr. Johnson. Hey, Rick, the maps are those already made? Have those already been made available? Or are
No,
they?
sir. That's internal. They haven't made them available. They map all that stuff on, on LiDAR and all those fancy mapping programs with their grades. And they haven't put them out yet. I asked.
So would you check to see if they could be made available to the city manager?
Yes, sir. I would be glad to.
I think it's very important that she would have those, not necessarily to make them available. Pardon?
Yes, sir. I agree. But now you can't tell the preacher you heard me.
The whole world heard you.
Yeah.
I'll see you on Sunday morning. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Rick.
All right, which now brings us to minute from the minutes, since this is a heavy. This came from the ordinance of the city of Oak Hill, 1937, number 44, section 5. Every horse-drawn vehicle on the road at night shall display a light in every direction visible for at least 200 feet. So, have lights on that horse-drawn vehicle at night in 1937 Oak Hill. Which now brings us to personnel discussion.
Mayor, I request that we go into executive session for a matter of personnel as provided in West Virginia Code 69A 4B2A. Personnel exception, matters involving attorney-client privileges, procedures versus County Commission 205 West Virginia 31, 1999.
Hello?
Yes.
I don't know what I did, but I went away. Y'all need anything else?
Yes, we were through. You can hang up if you're ready to.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not. This is my first time on the phone. I Zoom on a computer, but thank y'all so much for your time. And again, I
Thank you.
apologize for not knowing how to do this right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Were you finished, Mr. Perry?
Yes, I made my motion.
And you made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And properly moved and seconded that the city council. Hearing none, we vote to motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to. Is there a motion we go back into session?
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing now, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to.
Mayor, I would ask that the motion also include a notation that there was no votes taken, no decisions made.
Yes, so be it. Takes us to unfinished business number 2, consideration to incorporate the property in the Plateau District described as surface of 208/1000 acres on waters of Meadow Fork, map 30A, parcel 1, into the boundary of the city of Oak Hill. First reading.
So move that
Second.
we incorporate
Oh.
property in the district described as surface 208/1000 acres on waters of Meadow Fork, map 38A, parcel 1, into the boundary of city of Oak Hill.
I'll second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion?
I think Mr. Conrad's here. that
Oh,
may-
is this the property?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He may have some,
Hey, Damina, is there
some
anything we can do with that
information for
beeping
us.
noise?
well, I don't know where it's coming
Oh,
from.
okay.
Mr. Love?
It's all right.
I
We
don't
go
know.
with it. It's all right.
I think it's that one, but I
It
can't.
may be.
Mayor Wright,
Without objection, is there anyone who wants to?
2 minutes or less.
Only thing I want to say about the Airbnb, I know a lot of people are opposed to them. And I've actually spoke to the chief about it and things. The complaints on the Airbnbs aren't that bad because I'll be honest with you, we are held at a higher standard than everybody else. I mean, because for us to become super host, we have to have top ratings. So, and if you're staying in a hotel, people will chastise a hotel. They'll do the same thing to your house, same thing to your property. They'll bottom pit it. I mean, they'll pick, the pictures on the walls didn't look like my kids. I mean, they will nitpick it to pieces, but just what Mr. Jackson said, you put more fees on it, then all I do is go on there and then I'll fix that in my rates. But the only thing is we're already paying hotel motel tax on every dollar that's made out of that. So, I mean, that's already going into the city and, I've got some goes in the city, I got some go in the county. It's automatically paid. So, I mean, and that's a high rate because on average, one of my properties will pay weekly. Don't hold me exactly to it, but I'm paying almost $380 a week on one property that goes.
Well, I was unaware that you were paying hotel motel.
Yeah.
No,
we're treated just like that.
You do pay B&O tax. We
Yeah,
get
we
B&O
pay
tax.
B&O tax,
Okay.
we pay hotel motel tax. I mean, we're paying all this already. And honestly, I mean, there's a lot there. So.
Ms.
like I said,
Johnson, what is the present fee?
Only $5.
Yeah.
And they were paying a $50 fee to
I've heard everything.
advertise the variance.
What are other,
I only know Fayetteville's charging.
no, I
one.
mean, other rental properties and so forth
Oh, they're paying $5 also
per unit?
per unit.
Mhm. Or, yeah, as I say, I got long-term and short-term, but like that's the thing. I mean, we're paying on both ends of the spectrum, but I mean, honestly, the city benefits a whole lot more from the Airbnb because it's a whole lot higher. Plus, you like I said, hotel, motel.
But
tax.
we can
And it's
rate,
less resources.
huh?
The Airbnbs are less resources than our long-term rentals.
Yeah,
and our-
I agree with Kevin in terms of the upkeep of properties versus some of our, lack of a better term, less responsible renters or
Yeah.
rentees. But we can charge more than what we charge for other licenses or permits, whatever.
But like I said.
We can charge more
Yeah.
charge for a permit. We can't charge any more in their license.
Okay. I
Oh,
got you.
wow. I mean, I'm okay with the $5 business license because just like Kevin said, for these properties to be on Airbnb, VRBO, they have to maintain a certain, so they're working double hard to make sure these properties are nice wherever they're located within our.
And the $50 is for us to advertise.
We don't do it.
That was for us to
But- yeah,
advertise
that's
because
it.
they were having, they were getting a variance through planning and zoning or BCA,
It was a
One-
conditional use permit.
conditional
Yeah,
use
conditional
permit.
So no longer would they have to go through that process.
With that new law.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so
But that was a
notification,
one-time fee.
so notification wouldn't be required to the adjoining property owners either.
Right.
Like I say, my whole initial was to protect residents in specific areas of Airbnbs. That was my original intent, but based on the law and our inability to govern it, so to speak,
I mean, do you?
again, I'll accept the recommendation of the city manager as part of my motion. 2 minutes. It's in discussion. Get out of here.
Right there, the officer responds to calls daily. I would say that I don't know of any Airbnb complaints on Airbnbs because of noise.
I have one in my backyard. I mean, literally, it's in my backyard. I mean.
Mayor, I think
I've
we
got-
need to stick to what's before us, and that's the proposed or suggested. 2 minutes.
All right.
That's the proposed fee. But whether complaints and all that's not
But there's
part
no
of it.
proposed fee. There's no fee. There's no proposed fee.
No, he said
No.
whatever fee to meet a.
Oh,
Whatever she decides.
The motion was to repeal this with the
Right.
$5 business permit and whatever fee amount Demita decided on was the
Or would
motion.
recommend.
And second,
And it was seconded.
by Mr. Smallwood.
So do you have a recommendation? Pressure's on, seats hot.
I would say no additional fee.
Okay, that's my motion.
All right, you've heard the motions or whatever,
Whatever.
flying around the room here. This motion's been made, it's been seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to 6-0, which moves us to number 4, progress report of property located at 526 Gatewood Road, map 13, parcel 139, owned by Property Traders. Madam Manager.
Mr. Love,
Yes, I'm here by phone. Can you hear me?
yes, we can.
Okay, great.
I have the pictures that you sent. This is the building now. He just sent these pictures, or maybe Day, are these ones you took, Day Day? We were out there the other day. And so we took some pictures while we were there. And everything looks good in our opinion. There's some windows that are up high that haven't been replaced or boarded, but they don't present any danger because they're so high. Mr. Love, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Oh, I was just going to say we're still working on it. We had to get a lift, and the painters will be back on Tuesday. So we're still not done. We want it to look really nice. Some of that concrete block is just soaking up paint, so we're going to have to coat that close to 4 times on certain areas. But that's all I would add.
I only have one question. My concern last time was the exterior being totally painted. Unless I haven't seen it, I don't see the side that wasn't painted. Did I miss it, Mr. Kirk? I asked about the side. So he is working on, that's the lift he's talking about. Okay. Yeah, yes. Okay, you've answered my question.
So would you all like to continue to see this on the agenda, or can we remove
That
it?
was my question. How many times are we gonna bring him back?
No.
It's been, I think we've been doing this for like a year.
He's shown a good faith
I think we're
effort.
good. I
and
think we can
complied and reported.
I agree.
So are we wanting a motion to accept this progress report as the final progress report?
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a
Second,
Who made the first here?
First.
And you seconded it?
Dave seconded.
So it's been motion and second.
Twice,
All right.
yeah.
There's been a motion and a second, and we accept this report regarding 526 Gatewood Road as a progress report and the final one. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion's agreed to 6-0. Number 5.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Love.
Mr. Love, you're through. You don't have to talk to us anymore.
Unless he's-
Oh, thank you, council. I've come to enjoy the meetings, but thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you next month.
That's a lot. Oh, Lord.
Number 5, consideration to authorize the city to have demolition material removed from the property located at 215 Mayfair Avenue.
This is the property that was ordered to be demolished. They demolished and left this mess. I talked to Empire Salvage today, and he will charge us $4,500 to have this removed. But he has to, there's a bunch of stuff under that growth bunch of building materials, and then he'll have to re-see the property.
So are the owners going to be held liable at all?
We will place a lien on that property, yes.
Do we not have to get bids for that?
Well, it's under $10,000.
Okay.
So that was why I asked him to just go ahead and quote it.
Who is it?
45.
Who are-
Empire Salvages.
Who are the owners?
Oh, the owners are Betty Adkins and Raymond Jones, and they have been served. And that has, this mess has been there longer than the Chestnut Avenue mess.
I'll make a motion that we adopt and let's authorize the city to remove the demolition from property located at 215 Mayfair Avenue.
I'll second.
Property moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion's agreed to 6-0, which now we move to number 6. Consideration to adopt a resolution for the city to demolish the structures located at 103 Hay Street, map 25, parcel 78, owned by Tammy Lynn Gibson and Charles Brack.
Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution for the city to demolish the structures located at 103 Hayes Street, map 25, parcel 78, owned by Tammy Lynn Gibson and Charles Brack.
A second.
Property moved and seconded that we adopt the resolution for the demolish the property at 103 Hayes Street. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion's agreed to 6-0, which now moves to new business. Region 4 Hazard Mitigation Plan.
This is a resolution for the hazard mitigation plan that we're required to adopt every year. And all the cities have to do it in the counties. So,
Kind of tell me what a hazard mitigation plan is, or a hazard mitigation plan is. Yeah,
well,
I don't read too
it's
well.
just
Generally.
a plan to mitigate hazards.
What do we mitigate?
That's pretty clear.
Hazards.
What are we mitigating?
If I may.
What kind of
it
hazard?
refers to floods, things of that nature, high wind damage created by high winds. It's basically natural hazards. It's the greatest of what it is.
Thank you, council. Thank
It
you.
wouldn't be like a chemical spill, anything like that.
Well, that possibly could.
Good,
be included
okay.
in that.
I move we accept the Region 4 hazard mitigation plan.
I'll second.
Dave, you have to have this in order to be eligible for FEMA funds.
Gotcha. Good.
Thank you for bailing me out on that one.
Thank you, Bill. You didn't make me look so unintelligent.
Been property moved and seconded that we accept Region 4 Hazard Mitigation Plan. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion's agreed to 6-0, which moves us to number 8. Establish an historic district. David Sabre from West Virginia Explorer Magazine is, I don't see David here. Oh, David's not here.
Mayor,
Okay.
I would accept your explanation. I think if you could explain, and maybe council may be able to help.
I don't know exactly what David has in mind, but when he called and talked to me about this a week or 10 days ago, I have helped work on historic district designation. It's a long process and it's a difficult process. I helped somewhat with Fayetteville, Pat Wendell, when she was working on that, and Fayetteville got their national designation. I was talking to Adam Hodges some time back, a year or two ago. Adam's talked about this more than once, and he showed me a map he had sketched out in which, in order for Oak Hill to move for a historic district, you're going to have a fairly large district land area wise in order to pick up some houses and some buildings that aren't in the main part of town. For example, the house on Hayes Street, not the one you just tore down, but but there is a house on Hayes Street. There's some debate as to when it was built. Some say built in 1854. The owners claim it's 1870. Whatever is the correct name, it's a two-story log structure, and it is the oldest structure still standing in Oak Hill. Either it's 160 years old or it's 130 years old, whatever the date is correct on that. And what this would do would be to establish boundaries and the properties within those boundaries would be called historic district, which gives you the opportunity for tax write-offs, tax breaks. David Sabry told me even to get a roof replaced on historic building. And it also would help Oak Hill's economic growth, I think, because it's a proven fact that tourists come into town to look at historic sites more than anything else. So that is generally what he's talking about, but he has much more details. I think he deals with it much more than anyone else. And he said he looked forward to being here and to go over this in some detail. You can look at Fayetteville, they have one, and you'll see on the houses that are within the district, a green signs with a number on it that's showing you that particular house and what year it was built. And it's not an easy process, maybe a couple years. I think Adam Hodges is probably a person would be a great resource for Oak Hill, because I think he knows exactly how to put that together, because we've looked at, he showed me a map that he has sketched out some months ago as to what the historic district would look like. And it would be taking in more property than I would have thought. But he said you had to in order to grab some of these properties to snag them into the district.
Mayor, I have one question.
Yes.
Does it restrict or impose any specific requirements on property owners, and or does it dictate what the Chapman Associates may be presented and council accepts in terms of streetscape?
Yes.
In other words, it could cause what's done or what's proposed to be restrictive in terms of paint, in terms of some of the things we hear out of Lewisburg.
Maybe not quite as strict as Lewisburg, but I think you can make it strict as you want to. I'll give you an example. In Fayetteville, there was a house that sat there on Maple Avenue. You may remember it. It was a white 2-3-story house with a turret. It's a white house, belonged to the White family, I believe, the White. And they did not, it was in the historic district, and they did not want to keep it as it was. It was too much work. So they tore it down and paid a fine to build another building in its place. They took some windows out of the old Presbyterian church in Fayetteville, some stained glass windows, which led to a fine and putting them back. So there are some restrictions depending on just how strict you want to be, but Fayetteville's restrictions, I've been to some of their meetings, some of their historic landmark meetings, and I've listened to what they've had to say, and they do bring you in, ask you to explain these things, and whether it's going to hurt the overall image of the historic district.
So you said what you want. In other words, ordinance would establish
You can get tighter if you want.
what restrictions,
Like Lewisburg.
and I'm certainly not suggesting that.
No, I'm just saying
I'm
Lewisburg is a good example. Of
requesting
very
that.
tight restrictions.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
As to the color of paint and everything else.
I'd like to make a motion to table this until David can join us.
Second the motion.
Properly moved and second that we table David Sabry's presentation to City Council regarding the historic district. Any discussion? Hearing now, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to. 6-0. So I don't know where he is, because he called me and set it up, was real excited about being here. Maybe he forgot.
Maybe he got lost in Indiana at the ball game, celebrating Marshall's.
I don't know if he goes to those or not.
It was a good game.
Number 9, see Adam Tony drainage request. Madam City Manager?
Mr. Perry asked for this, so I'll let him take the lead.
Thank you. Mayor, by unanimous consent, Mr. Tony would have liked to have been here. However, he's ill, and he has asked that Mr. Ayers make a short presentation on his behalf. And I would ask unanimous consent that Mr. Ayers be allowed to speak at this time.
Without objection. All right, Mr. Ayers.
Sure. To the point.
That creek, once the Board of Ed went in and redone Halsted, there was a swamp at the bottom of Halsted Avenue. All that water has been diverted towards Adam's house, the whole creek, not just Adams. It runs along there. I mean, I spoke to a couple council members. I know I can't say their names, but they want to start from the bottom and come up. That water is gonna flow down to Minden, whether you do it up top or not. We already have a lawsuit against the city by somebody who lives along that creek because of the flooding. I mean, it needs to be dredged, it needs to be cleaned out. I get in Minden Creek, I get in that creek, I catch fish bait all the time. I mean, I know a lot more about creeks than most of y'all. I don't see where waiting and starting from the bottom up is gonna help the situation. If we can alleviate the problem up top, and yes, it needs to be done on the bottom so it doesn't flood Minden now. But you need to start somewhere, and the easier fix would be to fix the upper area first. When Bill Hannibas was still here, he went out there with Day. They had a gentleman's agreement that they were going to do this a while back. They were waiting on permission from John Pino, who owns the property across the street on Euler Avenue. And we've gotten permission, from what I understand, from Mr. Pino. And before something happens to him, I think we need to take advantage and just go ahead and fix that problem. We have the equipment and it just needs to be done. I mean, you go over there when there's a heavy rain, you can see how much more water is coming out of there now since that road on Halsted. There used to be a swamp down there at Halsted. And when they leveled it out to put the road in, it made the water flow more into the culvert that comes under Route 19 over into his property, and it runs all along through that back. I mean, if we've already got a lawsuit, why not get rid of the lawsuit and just fix the problem up there? I mean, yes, we can fix the Minden problem as it comes, but like I said, the water is going to run downhill whether you dredge it or not. It just making it worse on the people who live on the upper end right at the moment. So I hope you would consider trying to fix the problem for them.
Thank you, Jim. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can we have a brief explanation of what this lawsuit is or where it is, or is that appropriate, or since it's in litigation, is it proper to, or do we need? Pardon? Uh-huh. Oh, okay, the little brick house on the left. Second. Okay. And the suit is?
I'm not familiar with the suit. I think Day probably has more information than I do.
I'm hearing yes, but I don't hear what's being asked.
Well, we reach out to Thrasher Engineering and everything, and they're gonna shoot grade on the culvert. Cleaning those creeks out. If the culvert's already higher than the creek, then matter. The road is bad. You don't want his side touched, so we're putting water on him faster.
Whose side touch?
Mr. Tony.
Oh, down, I'm not, okay. I just,
He's worried about the others.
I hear you. I'm not, I just want to know where, I just,
Paved their lawn. Mr. Tony's gonna float to do it because it's gonna hit him harder. If we clean that up right now.
well, my only question was, give us a little synopsis on who's suing and where it is.
The lady that lives right there in that house, her name is Brenda Dye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll check what the premise of that suit is. I don't know what she's alleging.
I understand. And you've been handed all this in a short time.
I'll check that
The
out.
only
I'm
thing,
mad at Mr. Tony. I got word, I was mad at Mr. Tony, that I didn't want to do that job.
well,
But the
that's,
thing about it is
that's discussion for another day. I don't want to cut you off.
just being the one private property.
Well, anyway, that's discussion for another day.
We did have the engineer look at it that is looking at the Minden stormwater project. So he said that he would look and give us some idea of how to fix that issue
Which issue?
for Mr. Tony.
Okay.
Are they looking at
The best
issue
way to fix it.
for East End also?
Well, we're just having him look.
Okay.
We just ask him to look and do that free for, well, he will know he'll give us an idea of how it will affect
coming into the one.
the rest of it.
Yeah. Right, I got you. And some other areas there. Yeah. So, let anyone else, I'll yield to anyone else's time before I put my oar in the water.
I got a question. With the money that we were granted through COVID and all that stuff, because there's so much water in the city of Oak Hill, it's amazing. I rode with Day Day and Demita. I didn't know we had that many streets that had that much water. And of course, Mendon, we went down there and you could hear it roaring through the window. So there's a lot of water problems. I mean, Michelle back here, they've put netting, rocks. I mean, they've been successful, but it's been a lot of hard work and money on them to do that. And not everybody has that, but they've been successful in doing what they're doing. Do we have monies that we could, because I want to help everybody in Oak Hill. I have nothing against Adam Tony, helping him and all these other people, but we got to be fair. It's got to be everyone. And Mendon is getting flooded out every time we turn around. So how do
So
we
is
be
everybody else.
fair to everyone? Do we have monies?
Not to do everybody along all the creeks. I mean, we have 4.8 million for Mendon, and I'm not sure that that's even gonna, it's gonna help.
Because the
but-
plan is not even designed as
Right.
far as that
It's
goes.
2 years out, isn't it, Steve?
Well, 2023, 24 was the preliminary timeframe. Of course, the engineers just met with us this week to start drawing up, a firmer plan than what we had. And I'm all for trying to help out the residents of the city as well. I think we need to sit down and come up with a comprehensive plan involving GIS and our street guys and Thrasher or hydrologist or somewhere that we identify the trouble spots throughout the entire city and come up with a work list and work our way down the list to help fix all.
But it has to
everybody's
start
problem.
Mendon.
Start with Mendon is where I think, and we've got the monies for that. That's what this plan is for.
I would
said-
say, I'm sorry, Steve, I apologize.
I sat down and talked to Mr. Tony and I see from his perspective, his problem starts on someone else's land. There is a swoop low spot there in the old house where Elmore's was right there on Oler Avenue. And when that fills up with water, it bypasses the drain. The DOH drain, of course, it's lower than the drain, in my opinion, looking at it, and then it runs across the road into his yard and then back into the creek. And once those two fills up, eventually it rolls right on down to Mendon. If his problem is fixed, it's going to roll to Mendon faster. I'm all for moving the process along though.
Are you through?
Yes.
Let me say this. There were some statements that I scratched my head. Number one, I think someone said that we had not approved this. Well, I don't know if we approved any projects the street department decides to do. Secondly, there was an issue of liability brought up, and we're no more liable than someone walks through that door and falls or goes down the sidewalk. So, I just couldn't wrap my head around it, but that's okay. But I would say what Mr. Ayers said. There was a meeting with Mr. Ayers, myself, Adam, and Bill. And it was looked at. And there was a gentleman's agreement that it was to be done. There was talk about the easement. There was talks with the church in terms of a pond. We went over to the school property, and it's my understanding there are 5 little streams or brooks or whatever that flow into that one area, not just one. I also agree with Diane. We have got a major issue with ditches and flooding, so forth. Not only does Mendon get flooded, off of Virginia Street gets flooded, off of Terry Avenue gets flooded. All these areas you're talking about, Diane, they get flooded. Yes. They all
park.
get flooded where these little streams down by. So, and I highly respect the gentleman from Mendon who has looked out for and protected Ward 2. Correct? Am I wrong?
Yes.
And Ward 2 encompasses part of the area we're talking about. And again, I highly support. It's been identified that mitigation monies have been made available to Mendon. Steve is doing a omen's job of watching over that situation. Now, unfortunately, what has been in my mind, what's been said, Adam Tony. No, we're talking about an area from the school past the church to Adam and possibly further. Now, we've got 4 point, what was you said?
4.8.
And if I'm in error, I'm sure someone will call my attention to it. Early on with that monies, we had a consensus that first priority would be the parks, second priority would be sidewalks, and our drainage system would be a third priority. And we would try to do as much as we can with those monies, Diane, if I recall. And if I'm in error, please correct me. And I would say simply this: you've got to start somewhere, some way, somehow. Yes, Mendon is difficult. Mendon needs to be taken care of, which would help up here as well. But, you know, we've got how many residents in Mendon?
250.
250. We've got how many residents up here in the plateau or up here on the hill, so to speak? I don't know. We got-
8,000.
But again, as Diane said, we need to take care of the whole problem, but we can't be Santa Claus for everyone. So we've got to start somewhere. And again, I've talked with the pastor at the church and asked him about the possibility of a pond. I compliment the church for getting rid of those piles. So with that said, and I've heard private property, private streams, and I heard a discussion here earlier as to whether it was or wasn't, and have we done it in the past? And yes, I know we have. Now, explain to me how going out putting ditch and lines in Hidden Valley, which should be done everywhere, agree with you, is any different than what we're talking about here. But with that said, you know, as I understand the situation, there's 5 little tributaries to it, to this one stream area. And I had pictures, but I didn't bring them in with me. But there's 5 tributaries to it. It's more than, we're not talking about Adam Tony. We're talking about a situation. We've got to start somewhere, sometime. And as I understand it, what happens rather than a steady flow, the water pools up, much like they suggested ponds down in Mendon, Steve, and then it turns it loose. But with that said, what I would suggest is we start. And the things that I've heard brought up here by former city manager, street department, so forth. Number one is the easement, which Mr. Pino held it up for forever. But in last conversations with him, he was agreeing to an easement. And the discussion there was that the map he was sent was a straight ditch line or a straight opening where he wants it to maintain its present flow pattern and certain stipulations on the width. And in conversation with him, I think he agreed to 6 feet wide. The other thing that I've heard brought up and said was that the drainage ditches or tunnels, or what do you call them there? Culverts, thank you, underneath Oler Avenue were not large enough. I accept your professionalism. Pardon, and I said I accept your, without an engineer looking at it. Because I know when they came through my property, private property, the culverts weren't big enough, but I appreciate what they did. And thirdly, DOH is responsible for that. And let me find my notes so I get lost here. The culvert and a DNR permit. That was 3 issues that have been suggested as having have to be taken care of before any forward movement would occur. And again, so I would move that the city manager, step one, secure an easement from John Pena. If that easement is not secured, then step two would not be addressed. It would stop there. I would move that step two would involve approval and consent for the Department of Highways to enlarge that culvert. And if that step two is not agreed to or contracted or negotiated, then it would stop at step two. Then if step two is approved, then I would move, and this will be done over a period of time, obviously, one at a time. Step one, step two, step three would that we would seek the appropriate DNR permits. And if those are all done, then at that time, it would come back to the council as to whether to proceed or not proceed. And those are the obstacles that I've heard suggested, not why not to do this. But there again, folks, we've got to start somewhere. I agree with Councilman Janey. We've got a problem. And we need to look at it, address it. And it ain't gonna get no better as long as we keep kicking the can down the road and not doing anything. So that's my motion. And I hope it would be approved on a three-step process, and it would come back to the council for final approval.
Mr. Perry, did you say consent from the Department of Highways for us to enlarge the culverts?
No, they would do it.
For them to do?
They would
Okay.
do it. We would get an easement. They would do the enlargement of the drains, and then DNR would have to, I'm sorry, what you guys talking about? I can't hear. Getting left out. Anyway, and get a DNR permit. And then it would come back to council to decide if you want to proceed or not proceed. But it's systematic approach. Everything has been identified. And again, I highly respect Mr. Hazlett, his position, and so on. And maybe in between times, we could get some more grant monies to take care of the up here on the hill. So that's my motion.
Is there a second?
Can I ask another question? I mean, is there grant monies available for such things that we could help more people?
There is, I mean, we got a grant for
Mendon.
Mendon, so it's,
How about,
it's just going through the right processes.
how about the federal, what do they call them? We would call them partnership grants, but it's, what is it?
From,
Comes from mandates or
from the
Congress.
Congress, okay,
So there's possibility of money's out there.
earmark.
And it earmarks.
Earmarks.
And that money would be 2 years from now. If we requested it. But you got to start somewhere.
Is there a second?
How long is this project going to take?
Talking about the step process.
It'll take a little bit of time, especially number two, to get the approval from the Department of Highways, I think. Through, I mean, the procedures that you have to go through to get that.
Would you anticipate Mendon being completed before these processes are completed?
I don't know, probably not.
If you're.
But it could
dealing with
be.
DOH on that culvert, I'd say yes.
Well, it could be,
Mendon's
yeah.
probably done. Mendon may be repaved again. I'm okay with asking for the easement with the understanding that we're not going to do any work right away. I would like to see the Mendon project finished first.
Is there anyone seconding this yet?
I'll second.
Second, been properly moved and seconded. Any more discussion
I have a
Yes.
few things.
regarding the Adam Tony drainage request?
Go ahead.
Well, can I ask Dede a question?
Mhm.
All right. If he can I mean, if Mr. Pino is willing to give an easement on his property, is there something Adam Tony could do himself? Or, I mean, how do you?
As far as I know with Mr. Tony, he's happy with on his side. He's not worried about his side. He said it's gonna flow.
Okay.
He's saying that it's not flowing on the upper side. I don't know. Something about both pipes are not carrying the same. It's coming across the road.
It's ponding.
Well, the bank's
Yeah.
silted in.
Yeah.
up the creek. On this pinch. But problem lies is the pipes that's coming under Lower Avenue are that much higher than the creek already. So it has to fill up before it goes out.
But when it fills up, it runs across the sidewalk and right across Oler Avenue, straight into Adam's front door. And it has for, you're exactly right. Yeah, it has. Yeah.
So how is that eliminated?
Well, you want to eliminate, I don't know, I mean, you have to get somebody to tell you what size culvert to put under Lower Avenue. What size it's going to take to carry that stream of water. Especially when you're getting 6 inches rain, what's going to carry it? And it's hard to design, get its big rains when I get there.
We'll have to pray to get Lord to stop the rain.
So if this,
So when it gets down there Spindle where it goes under 16, that's where the bottleneck down. That's where it all starts. It starts back. Streets can't get out.
So does that need to be enlarged as well?
Yeah, it's 10 foot tall, but it's only 5 foot wide.
So
So
with
when it
that,
comes there, it hits that, and then it just backs up and peels out and runs over the banks.
so with that, Steve, is that part of consideration with what you looked with?
We did look at that with the engineer, yeah. It's not part of the project that
main
they
highway,
had
okay.
planned, but yes, we started there and worked our way down.
it's not part of the project.
As far as
Really?
the original grant was written, that part was not considered.
Except that they've kind of put that to the side, that original plan. And so this engineer's coming up with a new plan.
Redesigning.
A new plan for
Redesigning,
the-
yes.
What, the $4 million?
Which is why we met with
Yes.
him and started at the very top and said, this is a problem, this is a problem. That wasn't on the original plan. And he's very, very, very nice guy and very energetic and looking forward to it. So
Once it drops off down behind the plants, it's good. It flows. But when it gets down to the bottom, it starts. Creeks silted in. That's where the problem.
No creek now. No creek, no creeks there. No creeks clearly identified with banks.
When it gets down to the bottom.
Like if you put dirt or mounds of dirt on the side of that, would that help at all?
You'd have to slow, the way he talked about was taking the banks, rolling the banks back, stepping them back, so they would have more area. for that kind of Overflow, then they go back.
Are you talking Mendon now? Dave?
Well, on any,
Okay.
it's what he said on any, our projects, they go into the banks, they step them back, they step them out. If people will give them the easements, a lot of people don't want to give up the property. But when you buy a house beside a creek, somewhere down the road, you're gonna get water in your yard. It's gonna overflow.
That's why I moved.
So they wanna, well, I got a call out there, those people out there who bought your house, is complaining about that creek behind your house.
I couldn't get the city when I lived there to.
So there's another thing that we're gonna have to look at too.
Yeah.
To do something.
But if they don't give an easement, can eminent domain come into play? Council? If the flood mitigation plan and people are looking for easements and a person does not grant an easement, can eminent domain come into play?
I would think so.
Thank you.
You know, I'm not unsympathetic. I get rain and flooding in my basement when it rains because of the way the road was paved. And we do need to do something, but I cannot in clear conscience approve something and vote for something, knowing that we have such an issue in Minden that hasn't even started yet. It's not even been addressed yet. So until that project gets further along, I can't support this because there's tons of people, whether there's 250 people or 1,500 people in Minden. Those people matter, and anything we do on the plateau is going to make it worse for them until that's fixed in Minden. So that's my opinion on it.
And again, so are we suggesting that we stop all other projects?
When it comes to drainage, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I'm just asking. Are we suggesting that we stop all other projects in Hidden Valley off Virginia Avenue and the other projects that have been suggested until, and again, I will reiterate, I respect Steve, I respect what we're about in Minden, but I'll come back to what I've said 3 times. We've got to start somewhere, sometime, looking at it. And I have not suggested we approve it other than set the deck ready to do if money's become available and if this council approves it. So I move the previous question.
Now call for the question. Will the clerk call the roll?
Krista Hodges,
No.
David Perry,
Yes.
Diane Janey,
No.
Benitez Jackson,
Yes.
Charles Smallwood,
Yes.
Steve Hazlett,
Yes.
and Tom Oxley, but he's absent.
The motion is agreed to 4-2, which now moves us to number 10, funding for future beautification projects.
I think Mr. Tom had asked for this to be on the agenda. And so I would recommend that you table that until next month and also the beautification, we'll have more time to get the information together.
I move that we table the beautification project requests unless until next month.
I'll second.
And properly moved and second that we table the funding for future beautification projects to next month. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to 6-0. Come to number 11, naming and renaming of the following. A, the naming the rail trail at Harlem Heights.
I asked for this to be put on the agenda. And I would like to make sure that the minutes reflect that Mr. Smallwood did not request this, did not present this, and did not ask that it be done. However, I think that Ms. Diane Smallwood Russell has been very instrumental in representing her area and her ward. Presently, this trail is named Harlem Heights Trail, I think, Walking Trail. And in recognition of her contribution, not only to the city, to the county, and the Smallwood family, to the state even, where one of the aunts was in the legislature, I would move that the trail be renamed the Diane Smallwood Russell Walking Trail.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Properly moved and seconded that the Harlem Heights Rail Trail be renamed the Diane Smallwood Russell Rail Trail. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to 6-0. B, naming the Minden Parks.
Mayor, I've took an unofficial survey on Facebook and talked to several people. Yeah, but I think that the park on Old Minden Road should be named Percy's Park in honor of Percy Fruit. And the Minden Park should be called the Minden Community Park. And I'll make a motion as such.
I second it.
So we're talking about two parks, and we're talking one's gonna be called Percy's Park, and the other is the Minden Community Park.
I like Percy's Playground better, but I'll second Park.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion with Percy's Park and Minden Community Park?
Mayor, I will make one comment
Yes.
or two or three. I would commend Mr. Hazlett. Prior to me coming on here, I know he has been a strong advocate for parks for the children in Minden, and I commend him. I also commend him in that he and Demita, and I think council's aware of this, made arrangements to discuss with the owner of Ace, Jerry, what's Jerry's last? name? Cook. And he, Mr. Hazlett, secured the conveyance of properties for both Percy's Park and for the Minden Community Park, which I know is in the making, and the deeds will be made, and there will be a request, I understand, Steve, you correct me if I'm wrong, or Demita, to Berwin Land Company to contribute a portion to Percy's Park, correct?
Yes, and there's
So,
another.
Mr. Salaji.
Yeah.
What's
there's
that?
another landowner at the
Yeah.
Minden Community Park.
I'm in the
But-
process of getting that information together to do those letters.
So again, that's just a kudos to Steve and kudos to Demita for making this thing move forward. So I am proud to be able to second the motion.
All right. Been properly moved and seconded, and we've any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to 6-0. Let's go back just for a second for the minutes on the naming the rail trail of Harlem Heights. The minutes need to reflect that Councilman Smallwood abstained since it was being named in his sister's honor. So I think I said 6-0, should be 5-0, one abstention. So I just want to clarify that for the minutes. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Vaughn.
You're welcome.
My great grandfather was a Vaughn.
Uh-oh.
Renaming part of Kelly Avenue. I had a call today asking this be removed from the agenda because the board of the Alumni Association has not voted on this. Does anyone else get that? Mr. Perry, were you asked to put this on here? Is there somebody here who can answer that question? I had a call today from somebody on the alumni board.
Mayor,
Yes.
let me say this. I was involved in an alumni breakfast, at which time many of the alumni were present. And they suggested this, that it be done, and that they had requested this before, and they were told it could not be done by a certain city manager. I also had discussions with Mrs. Keffer, who said it wasn't that she was not in favor of it, but she had not had an opportunity to bring it to her board. And I told her that I was going to proceed as an alumnus. And there are, by unanimous consent, I think we have 2 of those board members here tonight, if I'm not. Calvin Lee, one. And by unanimous consent, I've asked that this year's, Steve, you go ahead.
This year's 2022 Oak Leaf Grand Honoree, Sarah Glover.
Who's also on the board, correct? So, huh? Oh, 2 minutes.
She's got a cane.
Did you hear that? We saw it. We didn't hear it, but we saw it.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sarah McKinney Hambrick Glover. My father was Carl, stepfather was Carl Singer. My uncle is Bob Singer. My mother worked at Noyes Men's Boys Store and Bowenheim's. I lived here in the house across from the Episcopal Church and fell down the steps there. So I had to move to Ohio, but that did not make me a Buckeye. I will tell you that alone, I can do nothing. But with all of you here, you can do something. In my speech to the alumni, I said, that alumni house over there, Pam Smith Hall gave me 2.5 to 3 weeks to get it open. And Dave, Steve Hazlett, and some of the others helped. We got that alumni house open. I was asked by one of the board members how often I was going to come back. I said, that's my baby. I'm going to be there. We need to get the alumni involved. We need to get the students involved. We need everyone to be involved. I took 4 people out to breakfast, to lunch today. Evelyn Heiser, Sue Castle Snuffer, Regina, Riston, Manning, all of them, and they have agreed. We already have a plan for what we want to do with the alumni house. If I'm going to come back 2.5 hours twice a month to get this alumni house going, then I think that it doesn't have to go before the board. Oak Hill is a citizen town. It is run by the citizens. It's not run by the alumni. This is a decision that Mr. Perry brought up at our breakfast at the Calvary Baptist Church that they hosted. Nobody said nothing there about not having it. Everyone there thought it was a good idea. Sarah Hambrick Glover said, why are we having it at Tamarack? Yes, I'm hot. Why aren't we having a dinner at Oak Hill and having it catered in? We need people from Oak Hill to come and live in Oak Hill and make Oak Hill what it is. We have businesses here that we need to support, not Beckley. Sarah, I'm not a landowner. Steve Hazel is my second son and I love him. Like was there for the both of them. And he was there for my mom and dad. I put sweat in that alumni house. And if anyone has any say so, by golly, it has to be me. I 100% support Dave. Do I have anything here? Yes. Right across the street is the Pembertons who work, and I'm going to come back and help John Pemberton and help him in 2 weeks to recover from some surgery. So if I'm coming back to support Oak Hill from Ohio, why can't you support as this board here? Small, you're on there. You know how important that alumni house is. This is an honor. We need to have a sign. We need to have something that says this is the alumni, and we need to keep the doors open. End of my story. I put my 2 cents worth in.
Thank you, Sarah.
Mr. Perry, what are you suggesting?
Mayor, again, I'll be happy to respond. Again, I do not see any alumni who would be opposed to this. I would thoroughly be surprised. And I would hope that it would not become a contentious issue and a playground for Facebook. But as Sarah said that morning, there were 14 people there. 15 people. And I didn't bring it up. They brought it up. And I said, I think the council would be agreeable. I'll be happy to get it on the agenda. And I am proposing that we name from Comac to the corner of the building, the CHS / OHHS Alumni Lane. I have also talked with the fire chief, who said there is no issue with it in terms of naming that. I've talked with several residents on the remainder of Kelly Avenue, Miss Montgomery, It was the guy down at the Lewis Center that used to be at the bank.
Jack Crozier.
Huh?
Jack Crozier.
Jack Crozier and the 15 people there.
But it's
And
not all. of it
No,
yet,
no,
'cause I
no,
don't want to have to redo my license.
no.
This part, right?
Yes,
Right.
only from Main Street to the corner of the building.
Is
Alumni
City
Lane.
Hall then, will it change its address?
This would be the only building to do.
No.
We would be the only ones that have. And we use both those spots.
Oh.
So, I think it's very appropriate, as Sarah said. I think it's an identity thing. And, I propose that we approve the renaming of the area from Main Street to the end of the Comac building, the Alumni Lane with CHS.
I was
Pardon?
asking,
Does it affect
this
the City Hall here?
Shouldn't.
This is 100 Kelly.
We can
Was it
have
become what?
You can ask Mapping
We
over
can
to
ask
one
him
center
not
to
to.
leave it.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
ask him to leave this as Kelly.
That's ought to be alumni. This
Yeah.
side right here, Kelly. So this one's
But
changed.
even if you have to change the address to City Hall, come on, it's probably, it may change anyway.
All right, we have a motion. Is there, did you make the motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
So what's the full name? Alumni Lane
Yes.
or just Alumni Lane?
CHS, just the
Okay.
initials. OHHS, Alumni Lane. So as to it's not enormous and billboard rather than a street sign. Could you put that in writing, please? Sarah
I
has
will
been
second
very,
the motion.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I will second the motion.
Properly moved and second. Any more discussion?
I do got a question real quick. I'm for it 100%. I'm just asking. What, and I hope this never happens. What if they ever move out?
Then I would suggest.
Just turn your back?
No, then I would suggest that the council at that time take appropriate action, if it could be, to rename that portion Kelly and let the name follow, or it may be, if it's possible.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's a good question, because I understand the lease on this is up 3 years. So it's solidified for 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
And Alumni Park.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you. So
All right.
I agree.
Any more questions? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to, 6-0. Which now we move to proposed name change of the former BB and T Bank building.
Again, I ask that this be put on the agenda. Obviously, there is still to be a final public hearing and a final vote from the building commission. The sign that was down there, there's some question whether it should have been or not been future. It was future. It was not, it should have maybe said prospective future, or possible future. But in terms of what would have to be done if the building commission approves the purchase and bonding, would fall under the realm of the engineer and the MEDA in terms of determining monies. Those monies would involve lettering, and lettering would involve a cost estimate. And again, I can't predict. Well, I would, what do you say? I can't predict, but there is one more meeting. It has not been approved. It has not been accepted. So I would make them, and I think we have a city hall. Okay, we have an Oak Hill City building. Is this what this is? City Hall?
City Hall.
City Hall, which at one time when it was named that, you had the offices, the police department, the fire department, et cetera. And what is being anticipated or projected is a new residence for the city offices. So I think in terms of this being a city hall, that being the Oak Hill Municipal Building, carries a much more sophisticated connotation to it, as well as it more clearly identifies what that building would be. And that's if approved, and finances and deeded to the city. So this, I don't think it's premature. I think it's visionary. It's anticipation. It's prudent not to let the tail wag the dog, and not to, what might I say?
Cart before the horse.
Pardon?
Cart before the horse.
Yeah. Not necessarily, but, I think it's prudent to look ahead and be in front of rather than behind, to be proactive, that's what, rather than reactive. So I would propose that if and when and contingent upon final approval and acceptance of a deed, that the new proposed possible city building be named the Oak Hill Municipal Building.
Is that your motion?
Mhm.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
To make it clear, it is contingent upon final approval.
Clerk,
of the
call the
Building
roll.
Commission and the bonding and securing of a deed. Transfer or whatever.
Diane Janey,
No.
Dave Perry,
Yes.
Krista Hodges,
No.
Steve Hazlett,
Yes.
Charles Smallwood,
Yes.
Benitez Jackson,
Yes.
and Tom Oxley's absent.
The motion is agreed to, 4-2. Now we move into number 12. Structure Inspection Board, recommendation to demolish the structure located at 146 Richard Street, map 25, parcel 346, owned by the new owners Kevin Ray Bibb and Sharon Marie. Madam Manager.
This is a picture taken last week of the house at Richard Street. So this will give him a resolution that will give him an order to demolish within 20 days. The owner has done some work on the property, and he would like to remove the windows to give to Habitat for Humanity. And then I think that he's planning on letting us demolish the building and paying off the lien.
I move that the Structural Inspection Board's recommendation to demolish the structure located at 146 Richard Street, map 25, parcel 346, owned by new owners Kevin Ray Bibb and Sharon Marie, be accepted or approved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Properly moved and seconded that we demolish the structure at 146 Richard Street. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion's agreed to. Number 13. Digital signage for announcements and upcoming events.
I talked to Billy Trump in Beckley and found out where they had gotten their sign, and it was from Stewart Signs. So I contacted Stewart Signs to get a sketch and a quote for our sign. And this is, well, of course, you can change that background. It doesn't have to be that, but I love the sign, the logo here, this logo and our name. We have the base being 5 foot tall and for a total of 7 feet, 7 inches. Billy did suggest that we have the signage part bigger than what they have. So it is bigger than what you saw in the information that I sent you. The cost for this sign, which will require us to have, we would have to advertise for bids, is $20,000, $20,005.
Where would this go to me?
What I planned on it, and for the height, put it out here in front of the amphitheater since we were going to do amphitheater events. But I don't know if that's, I didn't know where you all wanted it. If we have it at the BB&T building, which is another option, I think we'd have to have it a little higher in order, because this sets, we have it at the amphitheater, it's going to sit so close to the road, it needs to be a little lower. But if we have it at BB&T, we'll have to have it higher because it'll set back from the road some.
And who has one similar to this, Beckley? Is that
Beckley.
Where,
Mhm.
where is theirs at?
Where is theirs, Aaron?
Yeah,
Okay.
on Neville Street, when you go on Neville. that's
Oh,
what I think,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, is that one-sided messages or?
This is
two?
one-sided.
What's it, did you price it two-sided one?
No, but we can get that.
Because it seems like your events are gonna be here at the amphitheater. I mean, it would make sense to do it up here.
Well, you got a stoplight right there at the bank
Yeah.
building. and
Where they could
Where
read
they
it.
can stop. And while they're sitting there waiting on
And
the
we got
light
a
to change your
stoplight right
seat.
here.
Demeter, I may have missed it. I may have missed it.
I look
Is
out the
this-
front window of the bank every day. on my-
Is this digital?
Yes,
And
and it
where
has
would the-
software you
Where would the
can,
message board be?
where it says, welcome to our
Okay,
city.
okay.
So do you just need an approval or a motion for you to pursue bids for this?
We'll have to, right. But, well, I'd like for you to decide where you want it because that's going to change the size.
Mayor, I would move that the sign, as Mrs. Janey has suggested and approved, or if approved, would be placed at the BBT building, contingent again upon approval.
I don't think Diana said that.
I didn't say she said
She
that.
requested.
I said she
sign.
suggested the sign. We put at the BB&T building, the pine tree come down contingent upon acceptance and approval and the deed of the property. And my reason for that is, again, convenience to change the sign. And I think the sign would detract from the amphitheater as well. And I think you alluded to, Ms. Johnson, perhaps it may need to be close to the street
Up here, I
Up
think it
here.
would be.
and wouldn't necessarily have to be there. So again, I think as the water tower and as we look ahead, project ahead as the possibility, that to me is an ideal space for it, assuming and presuming and hoping that we take that pine tree down. And as Steve suggested, it's there where you have to stop right at it. This stoplight is some distance away from the amphitheater. So that's my motion.
And have it two-sided.
Two-sided, yeah.
Two-sided.
And,
And it is digital.
and then one, does it, do you know if it has warranty service contracts on it, on them?
I didn't get into that, but I feel like it does. On the quote, it may have all that on there. And I can use the specs that she gave me to bid.
And where does this come from?
This company is in Florida, but they have vendors in this
Representative.
area.
So as far
And
as,
Sign Command is the software to change all the words.
the sign, and as Mr. Jackson said, the warranty, what is the availability of service?
I haven't checked into any of that because I knew that we had to have it, that we had to bid it.
So we'll have the information when you get bids.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me say one other thing.
Double side.
What'd you
Yes,
say?
double
20,000, possibly 24?
With,
Yeah,
it's
if we're gonna do
20,000 and
double-sided.
then I don't know how much extra it'll cost to have it double-sided and a taller base.
So in terms of monies, I know our church is getting ready to purchase a sign. And it's $17,000, which that's much larger, how many lines will it have for your message board?
I think 4 to 5.
Okay. So, but
Right.
it is,
Change it.
it will
Small your letters. the more you
be,
put on there.
You're right.
I've made my motion.
Is there a second?
What was the motion?
My motion was that the sign proceed contingent to be placed, and to me to ask that we hopefully agree and identify on a place, be placed if and when a deed is received and approved by the building commission and it becomes the city of Oak Hill's property at the corner of the BB&T building, where the pine tree is, which would be profile next to the municipal building.
Like right on this side?
On, as you come towards this way, right on the right side, right there.
Yeah, with a pine tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, is there a second?
Well, I've been asking for a sign, so I'm going to second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to. 6-0. Number 14, naming of Economic Development Committee.
Mayor, I'd ask that our economic coordinator enlighten us about what we're considering here and maybe tell us why, how this committee would be used and who he would suggest the committee be.
The committee would be used to set goals and to create an economic development strategy for the city. So we can get feedback from the community on what the needs are, and we can set goals and assess barriers that the community may face to creating more economic development in the city. And that would all be laid out with the committee, and then we could do focus groups. So we can actually have a set plan in place for economic development in the community, because economic development is something that is different from economic growth. Economic development is something that happens over a longer span of time. It actually changes the framework of how economics looks in the city. So it increases capacity for the city. It takes into many different things for consideration, from social aspects to what types of businesses we want in the area. You guys did get in your development report some economic development survey data, and that would be the first thing that would be presented to the Economic Development Committee. It has been suggested that Ms. Johnson be on the committee. Adam Hodges, Tom Oxley has some economic development history with the New River Gorge Regional Development Authority. And Demita, what was the other gentleman's name that you suggested today?
Steve Moss.
Steve Moss. He helped to create the city's comprehensive plan in 2012, which I finally got my hands on a copy of that today, and we discovered that we think that also is going to need to be redone this year.
Is it true that most cities who have city planners or economic development directors and so forth use this very same kind of?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this is not something unusual.
No, Bluefield has one, Princeton has one, Mercer County has one. It's the same way that the New River Gorge Regional Development Authority operates. So it's pretty standard across the region.
Okay.
So when you say goals, who would they set goals for, you or?
They would set goals for me, and it's basically goals for the city also on what we want to happen economically in our city. Do we want to focus our efforts on increasing education for people that are trying to get jobs? Do we want to focus our goals on creating long-term investment opportunities and our infrastructure. There's many different new ideas for economic development, one being infrastructure, which I think the city is doing a really great job on. And then we can compare those to the goals that we set to make sure that we are following a good plan and we are staying on set and that we have correct checks and balances in place to make sure that we are doing those things. Because without having the checks and balances in the evaluation process, we won't know if we're just trying to piecemeal everything together.
So with council sets, I'm confused about who sets the goal. Like, it almost sounds like council, like council needs to set goals.
It would
and
work
then-
like a standard committee would be.
Then the committee comes back.
The
brings
committee comes
suggestions,
back to the council
and brings
and brings
suggestions. Okay, all
suggestions.
right.
Yes, sir. It works standard like any other government committee would work.
What's the difference in sending out surveys now versus having a committee do surveys?
Well, the committee won't be doing the surveys. The committees will be assessing what the surveys have, the results of the surveys, and trying to gain a better understanding of what the community wants and what the community needs, and to set also the evaluation process of, does the city want more infrastructure? Do they want economic development to focus on, accessing more broadband? Do they want, the city to focus on more parks? Do they want to focus on education opportunities? Do they want to focus on creating a better business network for local businesses to compromise and cross-promote their businesses? So there's many different things that the committee would take into consideration by reviewing the results of these surveys and getting feedback from focus groups from certain types of businesses and what those types of businesses need to gain more employees, to have the opportunities to be able to employ more people. That's a couple things that I noticed really quickly in the surveys, is that one of the things was people were saying that there's not enough 40-hour-a-week jobs, but then some business owners were saying that they don't get enough business to employ more than one person 40 hours a week. So it's taking into all of those things and figuring out the barriers that the city faces to creating better economic development strategies and creating this master plan that is a plan that is written in stone that we can follow and have and take better measurements of the outcomes of the work.
Aaron, I'm sorry, you finished. Are you telling us that you would accept the responsibility for leadership, direction, oversight over this committee?
If that's what the council would want, yes, sir.
Again, who did you suggest?
I
Or let me
suggested,
ask you, who made the recommendation suggestions to you? First of all.
of the people for the
Yeah.
committee, those are names that I know that work on other committees in the city that I think, especially Adam Hodges, he's on the Board of Zonings. I think that's very important in economic what is it, Board of Zone?
No. I'm gonna.
He's on the, he's on the Streetscapes project. I'd heard his name mentioned with the historic district stuff, and that was a name that I come up with. I hadn't talked to Adam about it. I just mentioned it to me today.
How about, do we have any business owners on there?
We can have business owners on there. I had that
Okay.
quick 5 list.
Again, you said Adam.
I said Adam Demita. I said Tom Oxley because he has a history with the Regional Development Authority. And Demita suggested Sam, but or
Steve Moss.
because he had worked on Oak Hill's comprehensive plan in 2012.
But this committee won't have any authority to do anything besides make suggestions to you, which you would present to us, correct?
That you would vote on, yes. But I think that it's important, economic development is not, it's going to be a group effort. It's not one person's,
How soon, if the council approves this, do you anticipate having your first meeting or getting this started?
I could have economic development survey results ready next week in a presentation.
No. You already have a survey out, right?
Yeah, to present to
Committee,
the committee, yes.
let me say this, if I might. At first, I am not too much in favor. However, I think we're all committed to economic development and committed to allowing you to be a success on behalf of the council and the city. I would also say not to the detriment or derogatory to any individual that's been suggested. I don't agree with those persons.
I'm very much open to
Those are-
suggestions.
And I'm only one person to seven, or six.
Yeah, I'm very much open to suggestions. That was just a quick list that I'd given Demita because I knew that those people either had experience and or were on other committees that have something that relates to economic development.
And the reason I said that, I think that the more people who are involved, you get a different reflection rather than the same people in the same positions all the time.
Yes, sir. And in my report that I had last month, I suggested a list of the types of stakeholders. And I was under the assumption that the council would make recommendations to Demita about that.
So, Mayor, I would move that we approve with a drop dead date, say date certain of 1 year. And I would ask that the committee be composed of Demita, be composed of Steve Hazlett, who is a businessman in the city who operates, the chamber director, who would be all encompassing. What's her name?
Becky.
Sullivan.
Becky Sullivan.
And she lives in Oak Hill too.
Yes, she does.
Steve Hazlett, Demita. Let me ask you this. The business community, I think Mr. Jackson suggested this. They have the most vested interest of this being successful. Does this person have to be a resident of the city?
It's my understanding that committee
think
members,
That committee members normally live in the city.
Don Williams would be a good one.
But my question is, do they have to be?
I mean, you all would be setting up the committee, so.
So I
do you have an
will
opinion?
yield to young lady, Ms. Hodges with Don Williams' recommendation.
Don Williams is,
Yeah, it's not in the code.
Huh?
That's not addressed in the code, so it could be whoever.
Well, I think, and Kevin Willis, who we've all seen make a significant contribution to the city in terms of education, ownership of properties, and time to commit to the vote.
may I make one statement, sir? I would like for council to understand the difference between economic growth and economic development. Economic growth is theoretically grounded and can be measured on a quarterly basis through B&O taxes, hotel motel tax, and things of that sort. Economic development is a long-term investment in the community and in the changing of the framework to offer the community and include the community and build the capacity of the community to participate in economics. So 1 year may not show significant changes. Some communities don't see changes for a longer time.
Actually, we're going into the second. Maybe you've been there approximately a year. January.
About 8 months.
Close to a year. So, again, my recommendation or my proposal is that we approve it with the date certain, which that doesn't mean council can't come back at that time and renew it.
I would,
Drop dead date.
I would suggest through the term of this council.
Huh?
I would suggest through the term of this council. That's a good
Which could be
drop
June.
dead date.
Okay, that's fine. And that the membership be chamber director, Mr. Hazlett, and nothing absent of Tom. Tom has lots of experience, but Tom is a real person right now. We help, and not take away from him, Godspeed as he gets better. And Demita and Mr. Williams and Mr. Wells. How many members is that?
5.
5, and that creates a good voting group without it being overweighted and loaded, and we create a camp.
Do we have any
That's
backup
all.
plans? But what if they don't agree to be on there? Do we have any
I
like
guess we can come back
substitutions in
to
case they don't agree to be on there?
Come back then.
Come back the next meeting or let them go ahead and put somebody on there, whichever one. That's what I'm asking. So like,
I think the meeting could survey us and we could make
Put some-
suggestions. And she and Mr. Hazlett could at that time decide a replacement. And I'll make
Okay.
that part of the motion.
About the mayor make the
Can you restate
replacement.
all that?
No,
Oh, my gosh.
Council, can you restate that?
You're saying that you named the 5 people that have already been named out here. And that it's good for the term of council, which will be July 1st, 2023. And then if necessary, you can return to council and get another year, 2 years, or whatever may be required for this Economic Development Committee.
And that if any of the persons named decline, that Mr. Hazlett and Demita would survey the council for suggestions and approve the replacement.
What if I decline?
Huh?
What if I decline?
All right, is there a second?
The mayor shouldn't be on that committee.
Huh?
She was.
The mayor's on that committee.
Mhm.
The mayor.
I never heard my name.
Would you
I
like
can
to
hear
vote?
his name.
Oh, I thought you said
Roll it down.
Demita.
No.
welcome.
I didn't hear my name on that list.
And I thought you said Demita, Councilman, sorry.
No. I said,
We're loading the mayor down, guys.
that's his job.
So
Thank
this-
you, Mr. Smallwood.
Mr. Smallwood, you want to amend my motion to include the mayor?
Yeah, I'd be in this motion to take the mayor also.
These 600 people in this.
All right.
You don't have, you can just make sure it gets done.
Yeah, is there a second to all that? Is there? I don't hear a second.
I'll second it.
Properly moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Vote the motion as
And-
amended.
Yeah, as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to.
Thank you.
And you can
6-0.
do it, but I won't vote.
Now we go to 15. Request to move the council meeting to November 7th, 2022.
So moved.
I'll
That we move
second.
the council meeting to November 7th, 2022.
Any discussion? What is the reason for the move?
I'm on vacation the next week.
I just-
Planned prior to us appointing
Yes.
her assistant.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so,
So she would lose money.
all right. Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to, 6-0. Number 16, Thanksgiving week logistics. This sounds quite
That
interesting.
was, well, at first I was going to ask for council to consider closing City Hall the whole week of Thanksgiving. But that will cause a lot of issues with our police department and different things. So I'm asking that we could close it on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday instead of only Thursday and Friday, because typically it's a very slow week. And we're on a 3-day schedule, or not a 3-day schedule. We're on the 410s. So it would just help us if we can close on Wednesday.
So we're giving an additional day.
Actually, only the police department would be getting not even the police department would be getting an additional day, because if we work Monday and Tuesday, then everybody's day off would be Wednesday that week.
So we're really not doing any of
So,
that.
no, but it's just helping by closing City Hall on Wednesday instead of having,
So someone may have.
somebody would be working on them that day.
What are the dates for that? November what?
Let's see.
23rd,
I don't have
24th,
you
and
got it.
25th.
I make
23?
a motion that we accept that city manager's recommendation be closed Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Properly moved and seconded that the city hall be closed on Wednesday, November 23rd, 24th, 25th, and for Thanksgiving week. And any more discussion?
Is that Mayor, I think we've all sat here and identified the performance of all of our city employees.
Yes.
With pay? That one day, is that pay?
Yes.
Anything?
Well, it's, the only thing we're doing is moving people from that, the people that normally are off on Friday would be off on Wednesday. But the people that are off on Monday would work Tuesday and Wednesday. So all we're doing is everybody's working the same 2 days and then we're off Wednesday. It's just changing around.
I think we've all sat here and acknowledged our city workers. We've acknowledged how skilled they are, what dedication, commitment, and service they've offered to the city. I was in favor of the all week, but I respect the chief of police, the city manager, and the street department and their recommendations. But I also think it's prudent, again, that we do this now so that those persons can plan to go deer hunting.
Does that include the city manager going
That
deer
includes,
hunting?
city, of course. And I would commend the city manager also for this. I don't know what everyone's aware or not, but she has changed her schedule to 5 days a week rather than 4 days a week to make herself available. So I think that was a very good change she's made in the interest of service to the city. So that's my motion.
It's already been seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to 6-0, which brings us to 17, downtown business initiative.
This is mine. Tamita, do you mind passing those out? And this evening, I've just created a brief summary for everybody. Here's one. As you all may know or not know, I've listened to lots of podcasts. I attend lots of free webinars and do a lot of research on rural community development, business development. And so this is a plan that I've actually stolen from another community. I'm not going to claim it as my own. The logistics of this essentially, and this evening I'm asking for council's permission to pursue finding partners and ways for us to fund this. Initially, I've estimated the cost at $230,000, but that's not necessarily what it may cost, depending on rent, what rent is. But essentially what it would be is this panel that we create partnering and locating 4 vacant properties in our downtown area. And it's to spark economic growth and entrepreneurship. So let me say that. And it's not to say that we can't do it in other areas of the city, but it would be a competition where we, again, find grant money, other ways to fund this, and have people submit business plans, have this panel select, we can narrow it down to 8, put them through business classes. The final 4 would emerge. We'd give them $20,000 as a startup, maybe pay their rent for a partial year or the full amount. And then the majority of that money is for PR. So again, I've stolen this from another community. It's not my own. And I have more documents I didn't bring with me this evening. This is just a summary.
Just I'm the dumbest one around the table, but I'm not sure I grasp what you're suggesting.
Well, so I will say I stole this from Whitfield.
Virginia.
Yes, that's my hometown, and I actually went to school with their Main Street director. They did a similar program to boost entrepreneurship and to fill their vacant storefronts on their Main Street. So this is a similar competition to what they did. They did it in 2018, And as to date, all of their vacant properties are filled.
So the $20,000 comes from where?
That's where we can find grant partners, business partners, like the RDA, the Hive. I mean, the West Virginia Hub just got $10 million in grant money for economic development in our area. So this is all grant money funded. I'm not necessarily saying this comes directly from the city.
And we is who? You said we can find. Who is we gonna be?
Well, I want permission to reach out to these organizations and ask them to be partners with us in
New
this
River
program.
Gorge, CVB, West Virginia
Right,
Hub.
right. Those were just ideas.
You know, I think it's, the concept is good, but I think to reinvent the wheel may be premature or may be unnecessary, particularly in light of our economic development coordinator. I also, you know, how do you identify? And I see what you're saying, that it would be determined based on what? Written document to the committee that you're proposing, or, I see this as being something that probably maybe could be assigned or taken up by the economic development coordinator and the committee we just approved. So,
I think it's a good idea to pitch to the economic committee.
what's that?
I think it's a good idea to pitch to the committee. We may need to think outside the box. That's what we've been doing.
And I have the contracts that Withville used for their businesses, for their entrepreneurs. You know, a lot of information that Todd has been gracious enough to share with me for the support of this program and how successful it was in Withville.
So who actually gets the money?
So the way Withville structured it is the businesses that won the competition, each business got $20,000 to start their business. The pot or the group that was created to oversee this project paid a portion of the rent to each property owner directly. So it wasn't like it was given to the business owner and they were responsible. There were lots of checks and balances in place.
So what type of business would qualify? Would it be a tattoo parlor or?
They had 36
20,000.
people apply for this program, and
But
that they had 36 people. So they narrowed it down to the ones this panel thought, and it was a panel that Withfield created of partners similar to what I put on this piece of paper, like the Hub, the Hive, the RDA. They had a panel of people. They put the businesses through classes. They had to attend classes, present their final presentation. They narrowed it down from 8 to 4. They originally started with 36.
So again, would you target specific type of business?
No, I think it's just whatever would be successful in this area. And you don't know what people are gonna submit as a business plan.
If I understood Steve, I think that's what I was trying to say. Conceptually, I think we need to do everything we can to induce or support business. I don't know whether $20,000 or not. And I know one of the proposals we heard at Municipal League was a lot of the federal monies allocated X number of dollars to businesses. That was one of the suggestions for the federal money. But if I heard Steve right, and I think it ought to be punted to the economic development coordinator and the committee that we just authorized.
Well, why couldn't Krista work with Aaron to, I don't know, to see what they can come up with? Who would write the grants? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, where would the grants come? Like, we would write grants to get, and then the city
so
would manage it and then give it out to the.
For example, like Withfield, they partnered with these various organizations that were like the Hub,
Yeah,
but
I've worked
all
with the Hub
Virginia
before.
related, that got federal money, and they put that in the pot for this program. If
So
that
where would the
makes sense.
pot be? That's what I'm kind of like, who would be would the city have them?
We could make I mean, I will have to ask Todd more specific
Okay.
information. I know it was, I can't remember the name of the program right now, but it was their downtown initiative program that they created where they brought all these partners in. So I don't know if they created a separate nonprofit under that umbrella name and put all the money there, and that's how it went out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying right
So
there.
as an example, would Steve be entitled to submit $20,000?
No, these are for new business entrepreneurs.
New business.
Yes, new business entrepreneurs. to
So no
promote-
existing business in town
No,
would be eligible to.
that's not to say we can't come up with a different program for our existing businesses.
So
Okay.
I'm simply trying to go outside of the box and help economic growth and fill these vacant storefronts. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And we got some money over the next 3 years to do an economic driven project
To this city.
to this city,
Who is we?
the city of Oak Hill.
Well,
Yes, sir.
Well,
well,
again, I suggest that you discuss, share, talk with Ian. Two of you all come back with, or Ian come back with a suggestion. or
Aaron.
You mean
Aaron.
You became like a boy.
I don't label them, don't talk about. No, now more people, everything new. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
More information be exchanged between two of you guys. And, and the committee that was just formed. The discussion occur with that committee around this conceptual proposed suggestion that may provide additional information from Louisville. That's my suggestion. That's not a motion.
I say anything that's proposed to try to stimulate growth. I don't know if it'll work or not, but heck, go for it. I would, we'll go.
But if you guys are okay with that, Aaron and I will get together and talk about it.
So is there a motion on that or you just
I
gonna?
move that the information be shared with Aaron and the
Oh
newly
my
formed
God.
committee in conjunction with Krista to examine, look at, and come with a recommendation around the proposal at some future point.
There's properly moved and second. Any more discussion? I'll just simply say that I think Councilwoman Hodges has, I think she's done a very good job. She's to be commended for reaching out to other towns and finding out what they've been doing and working up numbers and working up the numbers of new businesses that could be affected by this money. And every little bit helps, as Mr. Jackson has said. So I commend Councilwoman for bringing up those ideas. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you for that. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to 6-0, which moves us now to committee and department reports. Let's see, Veterans Memorial Committee update. I think Mr. Oxley has that usually, doesn't he? Or is anyone else going to
They
do
will
that?
meet on September the 15th.
15th, okay. So
At 6 o'clock.
So I guess, okay, thank you. So I guess that Mr. Oxley will give us a report in October. Police report, well, you've looked at the numbers and the report that the chief has given. Any questions to Police Chief Wisman? You're lucky there, chief. All right,
See what happens at the end, everybody gets tired.
Fire Department, I think the chief is not here tonight. Is anyone else going to give a report for him or, to answer any questions, should say. No one. All right, we go to Economic Development Coordinator. You have, I think, do you have anything else to add to what you've already said?
Mayor, I have a question.
Okay. Question from Councilman Smallwood.
In the welcome packet,
I didn't see it.
Aaron, what
You gotta click those links.
Oh, crap.
So I emailed you about something.
Yeah, I changed that today. Yes,
I
sir.
would say well done, but you did not mention any churches in the city.
Okay, I can add those in there.
Okay, yeah, there was no churches mentioned.
Yeah, that's a one-page thing that can be inserted at any point.
And under under the heading of demographics,
Yes, sir.
there's different religions in the city, and they wasn't mentioned.
Okay, I can add those.
And also the employment percentage was not mentioned. That should be included. Employment percentages.
Some of those, the census didn't have very good data for the city of Oak Hill on,
I
so,
don't know if you want to share some of it.
yeah.
You know
So
what,
I will look into that and
They already
Some-
watch CNN, they know.
some of it, the census data just had an X for the city, which means that they didn't have conclusive data. So I did look into that. But I will add churches.
if somebody's gonna anticipate moving in, they want to know what churches are available in the city.
Okay, that's not a big, that's not a biggie.
That's just one little thing.
Yep, not a biggie.
Aaron, did you make the two corrections on the two committees?
Yes, sir.
Did you consider duplexing rather than single paging?
Yes, sir. I did that because this is not going to be printed in-house because it's so much color that having it laid out with, on both sides, the color was bleeding. So as an example, like when you looked at one page, you could see through and see all, yeah. So it will be printed not in-house on our copiers. It will go to like Nicholas Printing or they will have better quality paper and things of that. Yeah.
Where you got those pages, they'll be free.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And their paper quality will be better and all of that. So
Good job.
it'll
Good
look
intent.
better.
Lots of good information.
Yeah. So
Long
these
time
will
ago.
go to all the realtor companies or?
They will go, yeah, anywhere that we,
How can you figure out who's new residents, like who's just moved to the city?
um,
Way to figure that out?
realtors would be a good way to go. I think the CVB would be a good place to have them. I think having them,
Our sewer.
the sewer,
Sewer board?
Yeah.
So maybe anybody that's moved here within the last year, send them a welcome packet.
yeah, and it also in a different link, because I didn't put everything in the graphic design, is all of the permits and things of that sorts that they need to hook up sewer, to hook up. There's even a voter's registration packet in there and the driver's license change of form. So
It's a good
all of
information.
those are in the city documents and things of that sorts that they need to.
And this will be on the city website.
It can go on the city website. Yes, sir. It can be a downloadable PDF.
And I'm not too hip on technology.
Okay.
The other thing I would like to suggest is that perhaps you, with your committee, somehow advocate for, suggest, survey, ask if the businesses in Oak Hill would be, again, like Krista said, she got something out of Whitwell. I borrowed this sounding.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see something that support local businesses, local events, and put businesses on here to be available for cards, wherever it. As they suggest.
Okay.
What the cost would be, on political campaigns, 500, about, I don't know, about 250 or something, but consider that.
So churches, Mr. Smallwood, churches and religious demographics.
Right, yeah. Because if you don't, you're discriminating.
And I'll look into those employees, the stats, but I think there was a reason I didn't include them right off the bat.
Sure. I'm sure. There's a lot of reasons you include other things too.
code enforcement. Any,
Let's talk about that a minute.
all
The
right.
gentlemen and ladies that came from Hidden Valley, you know, I think the chief explained, council explained, and would it be possible to involve the health department? Because there was reference to health issues. Could we send a letter asking that the health department do a visit? Sure.
I was contacted due to being involved in talking with Mr. File, the prosecutor's office, county commission. The prosecutor's office is coming up with, or going to try to come up with an ordinance for the county. They want the cities, all the cities to be involved dealing with nuisance properties. I told them we would 100% be involved. So that may be something, there might be an involvement with the health department there. So we're supposed to have a meeting maybe next week to get that started.
So the only thing I would suggest is to do some kind, maybe written communication would be better to the individuals who appeared tonight, to tell them, to let them know that this is what action or what will be taking place. Because I'm not sure with temperament that things about estate settling, what the chief has suggested, just kind of list for them. This is what has been suggested. Maybe a letter. I wouldn't suggest a visit. Huh?
Not if I'm here.
What's that? I didn't say me, I said you. See, I took you out of the mix.
Not much talking.
What's that? I said a letter. I said a letter.
I gotta go. I've got to get my
Make up
son.
something.
Thank you.
The city manager report, anything from Ms.
No,
Johnson?
I agree.
I do have two things to add to my report. I have in front of you the notice for the engineering services for the bank building. And the transition team will just act as the selection committee, if that's okay. And the James Ellis sign marker is in. It's been, the place has been designated. So we're waiting on the mayor and Charles to give us a date for the ceremony.
When it gets put up, can it be covered until such time?
Oh, yeah.
We're not putting it up until right
Okay.
before.
Good deal.
The street department has it and they will set it on the pole.
What does MPO mean?
Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Okay, thank you. That was in your report now. Okay.
Anything else? Anything else?
Not unless you have questions.
No, they don't. City council members, Ward 2.
Question. Is it the council's responsibility to report to the code enforcement officer of findings, or is that his job to go out and look for it?
He does go out and look, but if someone has something, then it's good to let him know or let me know.
I got you. Next question. Will you name the person who requested that you go out and look?
We try not to do that.
Right, well, it has been done.
What's that? Yeah.
We talked about
Oh,
that
yeah.
several months ago, because I was named.
That's, I just wanted to, yeah.
Wrongly.
Any other comments from Ward 2?
I have one, well, maybe two, but one is, I've had a couple people call me, and this doesn't affect me one way or the other, but Halloween, with trick or treating, all right, and was wanting to, they requested that we look into doing trick or treating the same, like the last weekend of October, like the Saturday of every year, to make it more consistent. I don't know if there's any I don't know if we've talked, I think we've talked
We
about
have
this
an
before.
ordinance now that says it'll be on October 31st of every year,
So-
Which could fall on Sunday.
Which could fall on either day.
except if it falls on Sunday.
Okay. So I don't have any kids trick or treating. I was just relaying that maybe it's something that we want to.
The amphitheater committee has their trunk or treat on the weekend before every year. They do, I mean, they do that on the same weekend every year, where we have it here in close down Kelly and part of Main Street.
So if it falls on Sunday, the date is what, Saturday?
Saturday.
And we already have that.
But it could be
in
on a
place.
Monday too, or a Friday as well, right? Is that what we're saying?
If it's on Sunday, we'll have it on Saturday.
Saturday.
31st is on Monday.
But we had voted to have it on the 31st, unless it fell on Sunday.
Unless you change the order.
Let's change.
Right.
Okay. Well,
We got a
Most-
committee for that, don't we?
Most
You're
of
on it.
the,
Right now you are.
on the charter review ordinance, yeah, we can, when we
oh,
have,
so I was just looking into that. Maybe
I haven't got anything
doing the
on
last
that.
Saturday.
we
October.
actually, I mean, we try to do it with our the towns
city
around
towns.
us. And everyone's always done it on the actual trick or treat day.
Yeah. Mr. Hazlett.
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting when you guys look at the ordinance to look at maybe if that works better. I don't know. You know,
Okay.
it's just been suggested to me a few times.
You taking for the ideas for the committees down? Are you taking
Oh,
that?
yeah, I memorized.
Yes, yes, we are. That was in that email I sent.
What's that?
Oh, okay. Can I-
Yeah.
Okay. I think that any job pertaining to the city should be advertised.
Okay, and we have 3 going
Well,
on
we got
now.
some where we say that the manager appointed.
But I've advertised 3.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
Oh.
In the past. It was appointed. The job was not advertised.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And I'm saying, I think all of them should be advertised.
Would the gentleman yield?
Yeah.
We have established an ordinance committee to review the ordinances and so forth. And the city manager asks at the request of the mayor to give suggestions for that committee. And I would say what you're suggesting, I know one suggestion I made was to look at the hiring practices, which would include advertising. So I don't know what list the meeting got at this point, but I'd say she can add that to the list.
Yes,
If that satisfies.
That's fine,
my
yeah.
Colleague.
I've got it here.
40-some years.
Mr. Hazlett.
I would like to just say that we need to be sure that we follow up with like the Hidden Valley people, the people that was here like a month ago from Rosedale that were complaining. I had somebody living in a camper or something out there.
Oh,
was
yes,
causing
I have
problems.
talked with them.
Because sometimes they sit here, they give their side of it, and then they're gone by the time it gets to our side of it. And I understand it. We don't want to draw out the meetings longer than need be. But we do take their concerns to heart, and we want to see them resolved. And another thing, and I don't know if it needs to be on the agenda next month, or I do think we need to come up with a plan for drainage on paper, on computer, GIS. I think we talked about it a couple years ago when we were having all the flooding in East End, like up behind the Dave's Radiator place, where we sat down and on the GIS and we flagged the complaints or the problems and systematically work to address them. And we're never going to be able to, no matter what kind of system you got, some kind of rain's going to overwhelm it. But if we can reduce it to the bare minimum, but I would like to see us sit down and come up with the plan in place and say, this is what we're going to do first and work our problems. City, I mean, I'd like to see that, the city and Arbuckle Water Creek or the Arbuckle Creek watershed, not just Oak Hill, but whatever else is it coming into the city. Just see us come up with a plan.
Steve, you put it in motion, it's possible action, right? On council
But do you want, or do you want it for the agenda? I mean,
We're missing Tom, we're missing Krista. We can put it on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
I want everybody to have some input.
All right, Ward 1.
I agree with Steve on that because I was going to bring that up too. There's just so much water but it affects a lot of people, just not those residents. I mean, the school buses have to drive through that and everything else. So if we could try to do something, I think that would be of help. And I just had a question for Day Day. I know that you're pressed on help, getting stuff, but I've been asked, like, some of the weeds that are like on the sides of the street or sidewalks or whatever, if you had someone to spare to do a little extra weed eating.
You are the boss.
Oh, no, I just asked.
Just tell me where they're at and I'll break out my weed whacker. When I get done with the bank, I'll go down there and I'll weed whack it.
Anything else?
That's all
Mr. Perry?
Last, I would like to know what we have collected in terms of the fee or the fine on unoccupied buildings, and if that's being done. It's my understanding that there's an ordinance or provision
we are getting money on that. I don't have that number right now, but I can get it.
from all of the empty buildings.
Mhm.
Okay. I'd like to ask that. Also, based on what Mr. Garvin brought up, it sounds like we need to have council investigate, if he would, Mr. Fowle, clarification, application, and specifically, I'm thinking about the Ellison building, which could be applicable, the car wash out there that we've all talked about since I've been on here, and the Steen Miller building. Those are two buildings that comes to my mind right off, in addition to what Mr. Garvin suggested, that could have possibly been done and wasn't, but definitely if it's applicable to those two buildings, and if anyone else has any suggested building, to see how we could use it, put it into place. Is that making sense, Bill?
To be honest with you, I'm having a little trouble following that.
Did you go to
Could you
sleep on
repeat
it?
that?
I know you had a long weekend.
Oh,
in-
no, no.
in Indiana.
I got home
Cold
earlier
game.
last night than you did, I believe.
Huh? I got home at midnight.
I made 7:30.
Mr. Garvin cited some code.
Okay,
Was that code or statute?
that's what.
If you'll share those numbers with Bill afterwards. Okay.
Okay.
That we look at how we can apply that to some of the buildings in town that we've discussed where it's been said, we can't do anything. Am I wrong? So it sounds like John may be onto something that possibly could unanimous consent that John be allowed to make a comment.
Sure.
I was a business owner here for 37 and a half years. I've been Central, I worked for 43 years. Really, still, he died in 82 and I continued in 2019. Regardless of what happens with the purchase of the building, the thing that's really affected me was, when I had a business, I think anyone that has a business in town, we keep up our businesses. I mean, I always did. I didn't have a fancy place, but it's always well kept. Come in. And then with this, in the municipal code, that anyone that has a commercial property should be held responsible
Yeah.
for their business because they're now a member of the community. They should approach it as if they have respect.
Good
I think
citizen.
You let your building deteriorate, you're responsible, and I think even if we do end up purchasing the building down, very least, in good faith, who you're purchasing it from should have all their facilities, at least the exterior, in good condition. I think that's just good faith being a member of the community. I don't think that we should have to pay for something that they've neglected. And that's just, that's kind of like old school on it. I think you have something you're supposed to take care of. I think if you're going to be a member of the community, be a member of the community in good faith, and actually
Do it.
I think any of us have businesses we take care of.
Much like what Kevin has done.
One thing I'd like to call, not just like you of them, I mean, I could name five that the owners do not care about and are falling in. And they do the very minimal to do it, but the thing is they hold up progression because there are people that probably would buy that property and develop that property. But when you go up to ask them if they can sell it, and they look at you. But I think
Well, and I agree, and I thank John for calling this to our attention. And I think he has presented to us a tool that we have not identified and have discussed. And I think he's presented us a tool. And if council can get with.
I
the me-
brought that up several years
Yeah.
ago, that I think all businesses
I
should
agree.
be held
So,
to this responsibility.
I'd say we look at it, move forward with it and see, and possibly as get, identify all, not only the Ellison car wash, but my mind, the steam miller building. Those are two I know we've all said here.
They are working on it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're working on state milling.
Yeah, that doesn't help the outside appearance. With windows knocked out and the garage doors. But I mean, we need to look at it. Yeah, we need to look at it. So that's my comment. The other thing is, Lee, I'm gonna stay on you. I know you promised. And you said you'll get it done. I'm still looking at the BOAD building
Yes, we're having a
on
structural,
Oler Avenue.
we're having a structural inspection board meeting on the 21st. So that will be on there.
That old white building falling down on Oler Avenue.
Yeah, that will be on the agenda for
And the
that,
other thing
along with several others.
that I have is this. Thrasher. Thrasher, I don't think any other engineering company has ever been employed in this city other than Thrasher. And I would like to be corrected if that's not the case. But what I say here is, when we interviewed and rated the companies, the engineering outfits, Thrasher told us, Mr. Smallwood, and again, if I'm wrong, you were there, told us they would be available in person. They were located in Beckley and they would be here to help us. And they basically, if I recall, committed or informally committed that they would have something on the ground August or September in terms of the park. That's my last legacy. And they were to have had 3 models brought back to the steering committee. We never seen them. The survey went out prematurely because they were supposed to have brought back models and then went to the public for a survey. So my question is this: could we, and I'm not suggesting we do this tonight, terminate Thrasher with the park engineering group? And if we can, or the council would choose to do it, and I'm only talking to park, I'm not talking about the fire department, I'm not talking about Virginia Street. If we could, would we have to re-advertise, or could we just take second on the list?
How long ago was this?
Oh, Lord.
Was this list
Back-
made?
huh?
It was, that was done in June, May or June,
Mayor June,
May or June.
This past month.
huh?
I'd have to, I would.
I
want-
think
And that's
May
what
is
I'm
when
Obviously,
we,
wanna look at the documents before I see it.
What's
I
that?
think
I'd wanna
it-
Look at the contract, see what we have.
Okay, and that's prudent. And like I said, just, I'm disturbed that much of this, and I understood the Virginia Street project's being held up by Department of Highway.
Department of Highways, yes.
And talking with the fire chief, he's pretty much satisfied, except they were behind on that in terms of getting the survey done, which they just got done last week or the week before. So not meddling with the fire department of Virginia Street, but I am very much concerned that they have not timely given us what they indicated in the interviews. You agree with that, Mr. Small, or not? Put you on the spot, huh? Bill's not here. I don't know whether you were in there on the park or not. I don't think you were there, were you? So I'd like you to check that. Just make the media aware of your findings. And that's not suggest any action other than just say, look at our possibility. Maybe they'll get there in order
I'll
to
send
get
those
on the
things.
gun fire. The other thing, Thrasher, I have a statement that I'd like to read and have it placed in the minutes as this, and I'll have to have it retyped, Valerie, because you'll never be able to read my scratching. Oak Hill City Council meeting 9/12/22. As I have stated before, change is difficult. However, it can only be achieved with the support of the city, with the support of the council, community, and city personnel who are dedicated and highly skilled. The transition and progress we have experienced today has seen a majority of the council who has a vision for the future and continued progress. Two, a highly motivated, educated, experienced, and respectful Christian lady as our new city manager, Anita Johnson. While some wanted to handicap this person by making her probationary. 3, a trainable, knowledgeable treasurer, Valerie Vaughn. 4, a hardworking, skilled, objective, committed street department head, David Kirk. 5, I'm sorry that he has left. A tempered, fair, honest, and experienced and proven police chief, Mike Wisdom. While some have and still spread unfounded rumors of discharge and or replacement, simply unfounded and not true. So my commitment in the remainder of my term is to continue to support for our leadership team that I have identified and the highly productive and efficient city employees in order that we may experience more successes and turn the corner for a new and improved city rather than continuing to perpetuate the status quo. I'd like for these to be entered into the minutes just as I presented them. I'll have it typed for you because you can't read it. But, my writing. I commend the transition that has occurred, the attitude which all the persons in leadership positions and employees as well have accepted what is kind of a different approach or change or the intentions of what I've seen out of the majority of this council. So I thank the council. I thank the employees, the leaders, and Demita, you as well. So hopefully I would have done that at the beginning and I would have rather done it now. So people could have heard it. So, but anyway, that's my opinion. Ain't interested in firing nobody, terminating nobody. I'm proud of what you guys are doing. Amen. Put it on.
Mayor comments. I just have two. I think that the Oakley Festival was by far an extraordinary event in this life of Oak Hill. It had a parade that never ended in terms of the people involved. And I just thought that Sandy Smith and all those who helped her, I'm sure she didn't do it all by herself. She have gone far beyond the norm in putting this together. So highly commend them all. And you have a future agenda item is the Chestnut Avenue debacle on there for next. Okay.
Yes, that he just got served. So
Okay, thank you.
he will,
Thank
and
you.
I've already got the quote on that also.
Okay, thank you. Any future agenda items?
I also like to commend the counselor for being here at the suggestion of Mr. Jackson. I know he's tired. I know he celebrated a lot at Notre Dame. So we thank him for that. Thank you for being here.
Council doesn't realize when I sat down in Notre Dame Saturday, who to my left would I expect to see but Dave Perry? They're that far away. I can't get away.
And I didn't talk a bit of business to you, did I?
Only Indiana.
We high-fived each other for about 3 hours.
Yeah. I've got one agenda item I'd like to say.
It is nice to have you here.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Fire.
Makes
I
me feel
enjoy-
more
enjoy the
secure.
meetings. I enjoy the camaraderie.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. All of the pending projects we have, is the public aware of them? And if not, why?
Yeah. I don't think they are aware of a lot of these
I mean,
projects.
the only thing I've been hearing for the last 2 or 3 meetings is the bank,
Yeah.
but no other projects have been mentioned. I mean, it's just, I guess they don't care about other stuff that we're doing.
And completed project.
Yeah. So, if it's some way we can make the general public aware of our projects that we're doing or have done, I think it would be a good idea.
Could it be put on the website?
Definitely.
Channel 4 can have a minute with the mayor when they give the weather.
I used to do that, I think.
Or the city manager.
With the mayor.
Good idea.
Our economic coordinator.
Any other future agenda items you want placed by the city manager? There's not.
Motion to adjourn.
The next council meeting will be held on October 10th, 2022 at 5:30 in this room. With no other business before the city council, the city of Oak Hill, this meeting is hereby adjourned.